The wind howls softly outside, a gentle reminder of the world's vastness. But here, inside the small stone guard post, the air is still and heavy with the scent of burning oil. You are sitting on a simple wooden stool, the rough grain of the timber familiar and grounding against your hand. A small clay lamp flickers on the solitary table, casting dancing amber shadows against the rough-hewn travertine walls. It is the middle of the night, the hour when the Empire sleeps, when the bustling markets of Rome and the dusty roads of the provinces fall silent. But you are awake. You are the watcher. You are the guardian of the flow. Take a moment to centre yourself in this space. Feel the weight of the heavy wool cloak resting on your shoulders, a shield against the chill of the high altitude. The leather of your sandals is laced tight, secure, ready for the path ahead. There is no urgency here, no commander barking orders, no legions marching in unison. There is only the stone, the sky, and the water. The fire in the small brazier in the corner is burned down to glowing embers, pulsing with a deep, comforting orange heat. You take a deep breath, inhaling the dry warmth, mixed with the faint metallic tang of old iron and the dusty smell of ancient mortar. It is time to begin your patrol, not a patrol of war, but a patrol of peace. You stand up slowly, your joints popping satisfyingly in the quiet room. You reach for your staff, a sturdy piece of seasoned ashwood, polished smooth by years of use. It feels like an extension of your arm, solid and reliable. You push open the heavy wooden door of the guard post. The hinges groan low and deep, a sound that is swallowed instantly by the night. As you step out onto the maintenance ledge, the cool night air greets you, rushing over your face crisp and clean. It carries the fragrance of the countryside below, wild thyme, damp earth, and the resinous scent of stone pines from the distant Alban hills. You are high up, incredibly high. You are standing on the spine of the Aqua Claudia, one of the greatest engineering marvels the world has ever seen. Beneath your feet, massive arches of stone rise from the valley floor, stacking layer upon layer, defying gravity to hold you here, suspended between the earth and the heavens. But you do not feel fear. You feel held, you feel supported by the sheer mass of the Roman determination that built this structure. You turn to your left, and there it is, the reason you are here. The channel. The water. It is a constant rhythmic presence, a sound that becomes part of the silence. It is not a splash, nor a trickle. It is a deep, consistent rush, a heavy, muscular flow of liquid moving with unstoppable purpose. The channel is covered here, protected by slabs of stone to keep the water pure, but you can hear it surging just inches away, behind the masonry. It is the lifeblood of Rome, travelling from the pure springs of the Subiaco Mountains miles and miles away, destined for the fountains, the baths, and the cups of the eternal city. You begin to walk. Your pace is slow, measured, one foot in front of the other on the flat paved stones of the maintenance path. Clack, clack, clack. The sound of your sandals is rhythmic, blending with the white noise of the rushing water and the whisper of the wind. The path is narrow, but you know it well. To your right is a low parapet, a wall of stone that reaches just to your waist. You run your hand along the top of it as you walk. The stone is cold, rough, and damp with the evening dew. It feels ancient, permanent. These stones were cut by hands long gone, lifted by wooden cranes and pulleys, set with a precision that has outlasted generations. Look out over the parapet. The view is breathtaking in its emptiness. The Campagna, the vast plain surrounding Rome, stretches out into the darkness. It is a sea of shadows. Here and there you can see the faint flickering light of a farmhouse, a tiny pinprick of orange in a canvas of deep blue and black. A dog barks somewhere far below, the sound travelling miles in the thin air, sounding lonely and small. You are above it all. The petty squabbles, the mud, the noise of daily life. It is all down there. Up here there is only clarity. You continue your walk, the staff tapping lightly against the stone. The aqueduct stretches out ahead of you, a straight, wavering line cutting through the night. It is a road for water. You look up. The sky is a vast dome of velvet scattered with diamonds. The stars are bright and sharp tonight, unhidden by clouds. You recognise the constellations, the same patterns that guided sailors and soldiers for centuries. They watch over you, silent witnesses to your solitary march. The moon is a crescent, a sliver of silver hanging low on the horizon, casting a pale, ghostly light on the arches ahead. It illuminates the texture of the stone, highlighting the pits and the weathered grooves, making the aqueduct look like the skeleton of a giant beast sleeping across the valley. The sound of the water changes slightly as you approach a section where the roof of the channel has been removed for repair. The rushing sound becomes louder, more immediate. You stop and lean over the edge of the channel. There it is, the dark water. It moves fast, incredibly fast, yet the surface is almost glass smooth, disturbed only by the occasional ripple where the current catches a snag in the masonry. It looks like liquid obsidian, black and reflective. It is mesmerising. You watch a single leaf fallen from a tree miles upstream float by. It is there for a second, dancing on the surface, and then it is gone, carried away into the dark towards the city. Think of the journey this water has taken. It fell as rain on the high peaks of the Apennines. It filtered through the deep earth, gathering minerals, becoming cold and pure. It bubbled up in a sacred spring shaded by ancient oaks, and then it was captured, tamed, guided into this stone river. It has flowed through tunnels carved deep into mountains where the sun never shines. It has crossed deep ravines on bridges that make men dizzy to look at. It has flowed steadily, never stopping, never resting, day and night, summer and winter. And now it passes you. You are just a brief moment in its long journey. You straighten up and pull your cloak tighter around you. The wind has picked up slightly, rustling the fabric. It is a comforting sound, like the rustle of dry leaves. You resume your pace. The rhythm returns. Step, step, staff, step, step, staff. It is a walking meditation. Your mind begins to unspool. The worries of the day, the thoughts of tomorrow, they seem to dissolve into the darkness. There is only this step, and the next one, and the sound of the water. As you walk, you notice the architecture of the structure you stand upon. The Aqua Claudia is not just a pipe, it is a masterpiece. The blocks of travertine are massive, fitted together without mortar in many places, held by their own weight and the perfect geometry of the arch. You can feel the vibration of the water through the soles of your sandals, a low hum of energy. It is as if the stone itself is alive, pulsing with the flow it carries. You are walking on the back of a dragon that breathes water instead of fire. Ahead, the aqueduct curves gently to the right, following the contour of a hill. You follow the curve, your hand trailing on the rough stone wall. The change in direction shifts the wind, blocking it for a moment, and you find yourself in a pocket of absolute silence, save for the water. In this quiet, you hear the night sounds of the countryside more clearly. The chirp of a cricket in the grass far below, the hoot of an owl hunting in the olive groves. These are the sounds of peace. Nature continuing its cycle, indifferent to the empires of men. You pause at the curve to look back the way you came. The aqueduct stretches out behind you, a pale ribbon disappearing into the gloom. You can see the faint glow of the guard post you left behind, a tiny beacon of warmth in the cool night. It feels miles away now. You're alone, but you do not feel lonely. There is a profound companionship in solitude when you are surrounded by such grandeur. You are company to the moon. You are company to the stone. You turn back and continue. The path straightens again. The repetition of the arches below creates a hypnotic visual rhythm. Even though you cannot see them fully, you know they are there. Arch after arch, mile after mile, a testament to order and discipline. It is calming to think of that structure. Life can be chaotic, unpredictable, messy, but here there is only geometry. Vertical lines, horizontal lines, the curve of the arch, everything is calculated. Everything has its place, everything is doing exactly what it was designed to do. There is a deep sense of correctness in that. You approach a small inspection hatch, a heavy slab of stone set into the cover of the channel. It is part of your duty to check these occasionally. You stop, planting your feet firmly. You slide the tip of your staff into the iron ring set into the slab and lever it up. It grinds against the stone, a harsh, heavy sound before you slide it aside just enough to see inside. The damp air rushes up to meet you, smelling of wet limestone and deep, cold earth. You hold your lantern, which you realised you have been carrying effortlessly, its light a steady companion, over the opening. The light reflects off the rushing water, creating dancing patterns of gold on the ceiling of the tunnel. The water is higher tonight, swollen perhaps by rains in the mountains days ago. It swirls and eddies, powerful and dark. You watch it for a long time. There is something deeply soothing about watching moving water. It washes away the static in your mind. It reminds you that everything passes. The hard times, the good times, the moments of fear, the moments of joy, they all flow by like this water. Nothing stays, and that is okay. You slide the stone cover back into place. It settles with a solid thunk, sealing the sound of the water back to a muffled roar. You walk on! The air seems to be getting slightly mistier as the temperature drops. A thin layer of fog is beginning to form in the valley floor below, obscuring the ground completely. Now, it truly feels as if you are walking in the sky. The tops of the trees poke through the mist like islands in a white sea. The moonlight turns the fog into a glowing ethereal blanket. It is a dreamscape. You feel light, unburdened. Your mind drifts to the city of Rome miles ahead. You imagine the water arriving there. You see it bursting forth into the great fountains, sparkling in the sun. You see it filling the vast pools of the baths of Trajan, where citizens soak and talk and relax. You see a baker using it to mix dough for tomorrow's bread. You see a tired soldier splashing it on his face to wash away the dust of the road. You are the provider of all that. You, here in the dark, walking alone, you are the silent benefactor. It gives your walk a sense of quiet nobility. You don't need praise, you don't need recognition, the knowing is enough. The path begins to slope downwards very slightly. The gradient of the aqueduct is a marvel of precision, dropping only a few inches for every 100 feet, just enough to keep the water moving, but not so steep that it erodes the stone. It is a balance, a perfect equilibrium. You adjust your stride to the subtle shift. Your body knows this path better than your mind does. Your muscles relax into the movement. You pass a section where the old brickwork of a repair is visible. The bricks are distinct from the stone blocks, smaller, redder, laid in a herringbone pattern. Opus dignum, you run your fingers over the texture of the bricks. They are rougher, warmer than the stone. Someone laid these bricks 50 years ago. You wonder who he was. Did he stand here on a night like this? Did he look at the moon? You feel a connection to him, a brother across time. You are both servants of the aqueduct. The wind shifts again, bringing the scent of wood smoke from a distant village. It is a cosy smell, reminding you of hearth and home. It makes you appreciate the cloak wrapped around you even more. You pull the hood up over your head. The wool is scratchy against your ears, but it creates a cocoon of warmth. The sound of the wind is baffled now, muffled by the hood, but the sound of the water resonates through your feet, through your very bones. You are approaching the halfway point of your sector. There is a small widening in the path here, a niche carved into the parapet with a stone bench. It is a place for the sentries to rest. You decide to stop for a moment. You sit on the bench, leaning your back against the cold stone of the channel wall. You stretch your legs out. The stone bench is hard, but after the long walk it feels welcoming. You set your lantern down beside you. The flame is steady, protected by the glass horn. From this seated position, the parapet blocks the view of the ground below completely. All you can see is the sky. It is a theatre of infinite depth. You pick out the Milky Way, a faint, cloudy band stretching across the zenith. The road of milk, the ancients call it. It mirrors the road of water you lean against. Two rivers, one of light, one of water, both flowing through the night. You close your eyes for a moment. You are not sleeping, just resting your senses. You listen, really listen. You hear the layers of the sound of the water. There is the deep bass note of the main volume of water. Over that, a mid-range rushing sound as it rubs against the stone walls. And high above, the occasional light splash or gurgle. It is a symphony of one instrument. It is incredibly relaxing. Your breathing slows down, matching the rhythm of the flow. In and out. In and out. Continuous. Unbroken. You feel the solidity of the structure behind you. It has stood for decades. It will stand for centuries more. Empires will rise and fall. Emperors will be crowned and buried. Wars will be fought and forgotten. But this water will keep flowing. This stone will keep holding. There is a tremendous peace in enduring things. In things that last. You are part of that endurance tonight. You open your eyes. The moon has moved slightly, climbing higher. The shadows of the arches have shifted. The world is constantly changing, even when it looks still. You pick up your staff and stand. The rest was good, but the walk calls you back. The movement keeps you warm. You pick up the lantern and resume your patrol. The section ahead is older. The stones here are covered in patches of lichen and moss, silver grey in the moonlight. They soften the edges of the blocks, making the aqueduct look like it grew out of the earth rather than being built upon it. You step carefully, although the moss is not slippery. It is dry and crisp. The smell here is earthier, more organic. You are walking towards a large tower that rises from the aqueduct structure, a distribution tank or castellum where the water is slowed and settled before continuing. It looms dark and square against the stars. As you get closer, the sound of the water changes again, becoming deeper, more resonant as it enters the larger chamber. It sounds like a low chant. The solitude is absolute. There is no one for miles. In the busy city, you are never truly alone. There is always a voice, a wagon, a demand. But here, the silence is a luxury. It is a space for your soul to expand, to fill the quiet. You feel your thoughts slowing down, untangling. The trivial worries that seem so big during the day, a debt, a harsh word, a broken tool, they seem insignificant out here under the vast sky. They drift away, carried off by the wind. You reach the shadow of the distribution tower. The air is cooler in the shade. You walk around the base of the structure, checking the masonry. Everything is sound. No leaks, no cracks. The Roman cement holds firm. You circle the tower and emerge back into the moonlight on the other side. The brightness is sudden and welcome. The path narrows again here. You are vigilant but relaxed. Your body moves on autopilot. You are a machine of walking, just as the aqueduct is a machine of flowing. You feel a kinship with the structure. You are both working silently, efficiently in the dark. Far to the east, the first hint of grey might be touching the horizon, but it is hours away yet. The night is still deep, the night is still yours. You have time, endless time, just to walk, just to breathe, just to be. You look down at your hands holding the staff. They are strong hands, capable hands. They have worked the fields, wielded the sword, and now they guard the water. They are hands that have built a life. Be proud of them. Be proud of the quiet service you perform. It is a noble thing to protect the source of life. The wind dies down completely. The silence expands. Now, even the rustle of your cloak is gone. There is only the step and the water. The world feels suspended in amber. A perfect moment frozen in time. You wish you could hold it, keep it. But the nature of the water is to flow, and the nature of time is to pass. So you let the moment flow through you, enjoying it while it is here, letting it go when it is gone. You see a shooting star scratch a line of fire across the sky. A soul passing, they say. Or perhaps just a rock from the deep void burning up as it meets the air. It is beautiful either way, a brief flash of glory in the eternal dark. You smile. It is a secret between you and the sky. No one else saw it. Just you. You continue, the rhythmic clack of your sandals the only clock you need. You are the master of this high road, the king of the aqueduct, and the night stretches on, peaceful, protective, and profound. The path stretches on, a pale ribbon of limestone unfurling into the darkness. You settle back into the rhythm of your patrol, the wooden staff in your hand swinging gently with each stride. It is a pendulum, marking the passage of seconds in a world that feels timeless. The mist below has thickened, transforming the valley floor into a sea of white cloud. You are walking above the clouds, a solitary figure navigating the high road of the gods. The air is thinner here, cleaner. Every breath feels like a cool drink of water, chilling your throat and filling your lungs with the essence of the night. You approach a section where the aqueduct crosses a deep ravine. The architecture changes here. The arches below you become taller, stacking 2, sometimes 3 stories high to bridge the gap. You can feel the change in the air pressure. The wind, channeled by the narrow valley walls below, rises up to meet you. It tugs playfully at the hem of your tunic beneath the cloak, a reminder of the empty space beneath the stone. But the structure is unyielding. You place a hand on the parapet wall. It is wider here, reinforced to bear the colossal weight of the water crossing the void. Lean over carefully and look down. Through the breaks in the mist, you can see the faint, jagged line of a stream far below. It is the wild cousin of the tamed river flowing beside you. The stream below is erratic, tumbling over rocks, drying up in summer, flooding in winter. But the water beside you, the Roman water, is constant. It is disciplined. It is the triumph of order over chaos. You feel a surge of pride. This is what it means to be civilized, to bring stability to the wild earth. As you cross the centre of the span, the sound of the wind mingles with the rush of the water. It creates a harmonic tone, a low, droning hum that resonates in the hollows of the arches. It is a song of stone and air. You pause in the middle of the bridge, suspended. To your left, the water. To your right, the drop. Above the stars, you're at the centre of a perfect cross. You notice the construction of the channel wall here. The facing is different. It is opus reticulatum, diamond-shaped bricks of tufa stone, fitted together in a net-like pattern. It is beautiful in its symmetry. Even here, in a place where few eyes will ever look closely, the builders cared for aesthetics. They honoured the work. You run your fingertips over the diagonal lines of the mortar. It is rough, gritty like sand. It holds the warmth of the day longer than the limestone. It feels like a handshake from the past. You lift your lantern higher. The light spills over the edge of the channel, illuminating the water surface again. Here, over the ravine, the water seems to move faster, as if it senses the height. The surface is roiled by small eddies, twisting like dark snakes before smoothing out again. You watch a bubble of air, trapped from a drop miles back, rise to the surface and burst, a tiny event witnessed only by you. You continue to the other side of the ravine. The ground rises up to meet the aqueduct again, and the arches shorten. You feel the subtle shift in the structure's vibration as it reconnects with the solid earth. The wind dies down, blocked by the rising slopes of the hills. Quiet returns, wrapping around you like a heavy blanket. To your left, a grove of cypress trees stands sentinel on the hillside. Their dark, slender shapes point like fingers towards the moon. They are motionless, not a single branch swaying. The scent of them is sharp and resinous, cutting through the dampness of the mist. It is a clean smell, medicinal and ancient. The Romans plant them for the dead, but here they seem to be watching over the living water. You adjust the strap of your sandal. It has loosened slightly with the walking. You place your foot on a low stone step and lean down. The leather is warm from your skin, pliable and soft. You pull the lace tight, feeling the reassuring pressure against your arch. You tie the knot, a double loop, secure. The simple act of tending to your gear is grounding. It reminds you of your physical reality. You're a man, with feet that walk and hands that tie knots, standing on a monument of stone. Straightening up, you catch a glimpse of movement in the field adjacent to the aqueduct. You freeze, your training taking over. But it is not a threat. It is a fox, its coat turning silver in the moonlight, trotting silently along the edge of the tree line. It stops, ears twitching, sensing your presence. It looks up at you, watcher to watcher. For a heartbeat, you share the night. Then, with a flick of its tail, it melts back into the shadows. You're not the only one awake. The night has its own citizens. You resume your pace. The path curves gently around the shoulder of the hill. The view opens up towards the south. In the far distance, you can see the faint, smouldering glow of a charcoal burner's fire in the woods. A column of grey smoke rises straight up, undisturbed by wind. It looks peaceful. Someone else is out there, tending a fire, doing their work in the quiet hours. You feel a distant camaraderie with that unseen worker. You're both keeping the world turning while others sleep. The aqueduct enters a short tunnel here, cutting through a spur of rock that was too high to bridge. The tunnel mouth is an arch of heavy masonry, looking like the mouth of a cave. You step inside. The darkness is sudden and complete, save for the pool of yellow light from your lantern. The air instantly becomes cooler, damper. The sound of the water is amplified, echoing off the low ceiling. It fills the space, a roaring presence. Rush, rush, rush. It sounds like the breathing of the mountain. You walk closer to the wall to avoid the edge. The ceiling is low. You have to bow your head slightly. It forces a posture of humility. You're walking in the belly of the earth. The walls here are rough-hewn rock, showing the marks of the pickaxes that carved them. You can see the scars of the iron tools, the vertical grooves where men hacked away the stone inch by a painful inch. You run your hand along the wall. The rock is weeping, tiny droplets of groundwater seeping through the veins of the earth. It is cold and slick. The tunnel is not long, perhaps 200 paces. You see the exit ahead, a semicircle of starry sky that grows larger with every step. Emerging from the tunnel feels like being reborn. The air is fresh again. The sky seems vaster than before. The moon greets you like an old friend. You check the water level at the tunnel exit. There is a gauge carved into the stone, Roman numerals marking the depth. You lower your lantern. The waterline is right at the mark for V. Perfect. The flow is nominal. The engineers in the city will be pleased. There is no blockage, no loss. The system is functioning at peak efficiency. You feel a sense of professional satisfaction. Your sector is secure. As you walk on, the terrain levels out. The aqueduct runs straight across a plateau of olive groves. The trees are gnarled and twisted, their trunks looking like old men frozen in conversation. The silver undersides of their leaves catch the moonlight, creating a shimmering metallic effect. It looks as if the land has been dusted with frost, though the air is not cold enough. It is a trick of the light, a moon illusion. The sound of the water here is softer, a steady murmur. It invites introspection. You find your mind drifting back to your childhood, to the small stream near your father's farm. You used to build little dams of mud and sticks, trying to divert the water. You remember the feeling of the mud squeezing between your toes, the sun on your back. Now, you guard a river of stone. The scale has changed, but the element remains the same. Water. It is always about water. It is the beginning and the end. You pass a milestone, a round pillar of granite set by the side of the path. X is carved into it. 10 miles to the city gate. You are closer than you think, but the distance does not matter. The journey is the point. You trace the shape of the X with your thumb. Deeply carved, permanent. It anchors you in space. You know exactly where you are. The fatigue begins to set in now, a gentle heaviness in your legs. It is not unpleasant. It is the honest tiredness of work. It makes the prospect of your eventual rest feel sweet. You imagine your bunk back at the barracks, the rough wool blanket, the straw mattress. But not yet. The night is still young, and the walk is keeping you warm. You reach into the pouch at your belt and pull out a small piece of dried fig. You chew it slowly. The sweetness bursts in your mouth, a sharp contrast to the cool, neutral air. You savour the texture, the seeds crunching between your teeth. It is a simple pleasure, but out here, senses heightened by the dark, it feels like a feast. You take a sip of water from your skin flask, water from this very aqueduct, dipped out hours ago. It is cool and tastes of clean stone. You are drinking the path you walk on. Ahead there is a small maintenance shed built into the side of the aqueduct structure. It is used to store tools, shovels, ropes, buckets. You try the door. It is locked, the heavy iron padlock cold and rusted. You give it a tug, secure. You check the window, a narrow slit with iron bars. Inside all is dark. It stands silent, waiting for the day crew. You pat the door frame. Sleep well, you whisper. It feels natural to talk to the inanimate things. They are your companions. The moon has moved behind a wisp of cloud, diffusing its light into a soft, pearlescent glow. The shadows on the ground soften, losing their hard edges. The world looks like a watercolour painting, blurred and dreamy. The sound of the water seems to soften too, muffled by the changing atmosphere. You feel as if you are walking through a memory rather than the present moment. You think of the emperor in his palace. Does he sleep, or does he pace the marble floors, burdened by the weight of the world? You would not trade places with him. He has the gold, but he also has the fear. You have the stars, the silence, and the water. You have the simpler duty. Keep the water flowing. That is all. There is freedom in that simplicity. A gentle breeze picks up, rustling the olive leaves below. It sounds like the sea, a distant whispering surf. It harmonizes with the aqueduct. Nature and the machine singing together. You close your eyes for a brief second as you walk, trusting your feet to know the path. For 3 steps, you are blind, guided only by sound and touch. It is a moment of pure trust. You open your eyes, The path is still there. The water is still there. You look at the lantern in your hand. The oil is burning steadily, the flame a small fierce heart of light. It casts a golden circle around your feet, moving with you. You are your own lighthouse. Within this circle, everything is clear. Outside of it, the mystery of the night reigns. You are comfortable with the mystery. You do not need to see everything. You only need to see the next step. The path begins to bank slightly to the left. You lean into the turn. The water sloshes slightly higher on the outer wall of the channel, obeying the laws of motion. You hear the change in pitch, a deeper gurgle. It is a conversation between the water and the wall. You wonder how many millions of gallons have passed this specific curve. Oceans of water, years of water. You look down at your hands again. The knuckles are rough, the skin weathered. These hands have held a gladius, a plough, a child. Now they hold a lantern. They are at peace. The tension that used to live in your shoulders, the readiness for a fight, it is gone. Replaced by the steady rhythm of the patrol, you are a sentinel of peace. Far ahead the sky is a deep, bruised purple, hinting at the depth of the night. The stars are wheeling overhead, a slow, majestic clock. You pick out the Pleiades, the seven sisters, huddled together for warmth. They look down on you with indifferent beauty. You feel small but significant. You are the witness. Without you, the night would still be beautiful, but no one would know. You approach a sippus, a boundary marker stone set into the ground near the base of the aqueduct, visible as you look down the side. It marks the protected zone where no building or planting is allowed. The Romans respect the space of the water. It needs room to breathe. You nod at the stone. Rules, order, structure. They are the bones of the world. The sound of the water is hypnotic. It has a texture to it, a grain. It is not just a noise, it is a physical presence pressing against your ears. It washes out the chatter of your mind. There is no room for anxiety when the water is so loud. It demands your presence. Be here, it says. Be here. Flow. You try to match your breathing to the flow again. Inhale for 4 steps. Hold for 4 steps. Exhale for 4 steps. The ancient breathing of the legions. It calms the heart. It clears the blood. You feel your pulse slowing, synchronizing with the slow, steady heartbeat of the aqueduct. You are becoming part of the stone, part of the water. You are approaching the settling tank, another point where the channel widens to let sediment drop. There is a small sluice gate here, a heavy bronze plate operated by a screw mechanism. You stop to inspect it. The bronze is green with verdigris, ancient and noble. You place your hand on the wheel. It is cold, radiating the chill of the metal. You do not turn it. That is not your order tonight. But you check its seating. It is tight. No water leaks around the edges. A perfect seal. You linger here for a moment. The water in the settling tank is deeper, darker. It looks like a black mirror. You can see your own reflection in it, distorted by the ripples, a dark ghost holding a star. You look at yourself, a man in a cloak, a shadow in the night. Who are you? It doesn't matter. Tonight, you're simply the walker. You turn away from the reflection and look back to the path. The road goes on, it always goes on. You lift your staff, tap it once against the stone, clack, and step forward. The sound echoes briefly and then is gone, swallowed by the rush of the water. You are moving through a corridor of sound and shadow. The world outside the aqueduct feels dreamlike, unreal. Only this, the stone, the water, the lantern, is real. You're in a capsule of reality floating through a void. It is a safe feeling, a cozy feeling. The mist is rising higher now, curling over the edge of the parapet like white fingers. It dampens the sound of your footsteps. Now you are moving silently, a ghost on the wall. The mist feels cool and wet on your face. It tastes of rain and clouds. You're walking through the weather itself. You think of the people in the city who will drink this water tomorrow, a senator discussing laws, a slave washing the floor, a mother nursing her child. They will all be connected by this water. It is the common thread. And you are the weaver, guiding the thread through the needle of the night. The sense of time passing blurs. Have you been walking for an hour too? It feels like minutes and it feels like a lifetime. The hypnotic repetition dissolves the clock. There is only the cycle, left foot, right foot, water flowing, heart beating. You feel a profound sense of gratitude for the quiet, for the strength in your legs, for the coat on your back, for the fire that awaits you at the end of the shift. Life is simple, really. It is made of these small solid things, the rest is just noise. You wrap your fingers tighter around the smooth wood of your staff. It is an anchor. You are rooted. You are present. You are here. And the water flows on, endless, eternal, carrying the life of the mountains to the heart of the world. You take the next step, and the next into the gentle, welcoming dark. The mist has thickened into a soft white veil that wraps around the aqueduct, isolating you in a cocoon of solitude. You can no longer see the ground below, nor the distant hills. The world has shrunk to the 10 paces of stone illuminated by your lantern, and the dark, glistening surface of the water beside you. It is a private universe suspended in the clouds. The air is saturated with moisture, clinging to your wool cloak in tiny diamond beads. It smells clean, like the moment just before a storm, charged and fresh. The sound of the water is muffled by the fog, transformed from a rush into a deep, pervasive hum. It feels as if the aqueduct itself is purring, a giant, contented beast stretching across the sky. You walk with a steady cadence, your sandals making a soft shush-shush sound on the damp stones. The rhythm is comforting, a heartbeat you create with your own movement. You approach a section where the aqueduct spans a depression in the land using a double tier of arches. Even though the mist hides the view, you can feel the height. The air currents are stronger here, swirling up from the void, cooling your cheeks. You place a hand on the parapet, seeking the reassurance of the solid stone. It is slick with condensation, cool and firm. You are safe. The Romans built this to withstand centuries, to withstand earthquakes, to withstand time itself. It will certainly hold you. In the localized light of your lantern, you notice a spider web spun between the parapet and a protruding stone corbel. It is a masterpiece of engineering, mirroring the aqueduct itself. The silk threads are beaded with mist, turning the web into a necklace of pearls. The spider sits in the center, patient and still, a fellow sentinel. You pause for a moment to admire it. You are careful not to disturb it as you pass. The world is big enough for both your path and its home. The path curves gently to the right. As you round the bend, the mist thins slightly, swirling in eddies. Through a gap in the white curtain, you catch a fleeting glimpse of the moon, a pale, blurred coin of light fighting to shine through. It casts a ghostly, diffuse glow that turns the fog into a luminous silver tunnel. It is ethereal, otherworldly. You feel weightless, as if you're walking on the clouds themselves. Your mind drifts to the source of this water, the springs of the Anio. You imagine the water bubbling up from the deep limestone aquifers, cold and crystal clear, hidden in the shaded glens of the mountains. You imagine it tumbling down rocky streams, gathering speed, before being diverted into the Specco, the channel. It has come so far, and it still has so far to go. You are just a witness to one segment of its long migration. The temperature has dropped. You can see your breath pluming in the lantern light, mixing with the fog. You pull your cloak tighter, wrapping the heavy wool across your chest. The cold is bracing, keeping you alert, keeping the drowsiness at bay just enough to maintain your watch. It makes you appreciate the warmth of your own body, the fire of life burning within you. You pass a small shrine set into a niche in the wall, a simple relief carving of Fontus, the god of wells and springs. Someone has left a small offering, a dried flower, now brown and brittle. You stop and bow your head for a second. It is good to pay respects, to the gods, to the water, to the builders. You touch your fingers to your forehead, and then to the stone of the niche, a silent prayer for the flow to continue, for the walls to hold. The walking becomes automatic again. Your legs know what to do, you're in a trance state, the walker's high. Thoughts come and go like leaves floating on the water. A memory of your mother's singing, the taste of warm bread, the smell of rain on dry dust. They drift by, gentle and unattached. You observe them without clinging to them. This is the gift of the night patrol. It clears the clutter of the mind. You hear a change in the water's song, a slight turbulence. You lift your lantern. Ahead there is a piscina limaia, a small catch basin designed to trap pebbles and debris. The water swirls here, creating a soft gurgling sound like a chuckle. You stop to inspect it. You kneel down, the stone cold against your knee, you hold the light close. The bottom is visible through the clear water, a bed of smooth dark sand. No large rocks, no branches, clean. The system is working perfectly. You stand up, your joints creaking slightly, a reminder of your humanity in this place of stone. The mist begins to lift as you reach higher ground. The cloud layer sinks below the level of the aqueduct, creating a floor of white billows beneath you. Above, the sky clears, revealing the vast, star-dusted vault of the heavens once more. The transition is breathtaking. You have emerged from the underworld of the fog into the celestial realm. The stars seem brighter now, washed clean into the moisture. Orion stands tall in the south, his belt 3 perfect diamonds. The hunter. You are the watcher. The silence up here is absolute. The dampening effect of the mist below blocks all sound from the earth. There is no wind, no rustle of trees, only the water, flowing, flowing, flowing. It is the sound of time itself, continuous, different, necessary. You walk past a section of the wall where a previous century has carved something into the soft tufa stone. You bring your light closer. Valerius fuit hic. Valerius was here. The letters are worn, faint, etched perhaps 50 years ago. You trace the grooves with your finger. Valerius, a brother in arms. Did he walk this same path? Did he feel the same cold? Did he look at these same stars? You feel a bridge across time, connecting you to him. You are part of a long line of guardians. You are never truly alone. The aqueduct straightens out, running like an arrow towards the distant invisible city. The geometry is soothing. Parallel lines converging in the dark. It speaks of order, of logic, of a world that makes sense. In a life that can be chaotic, this structure is a promise of stability. You check the oil in your lantern. It's halfway down. Plenty to last until dawn. The flame is steady, a golden companion. You watch the way the light plays on the wet stones, creating dancing shadows that lengthen and shorten with your stride. It is a private show, a shadow play performed for an audience of one. Your footsteps echo slightly as you pass under a relieving arch, a secondary arch built over a weak spot in the ground. The sound bounces back to you, clack, 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 clack. It sounds like someone is following you. You stop. The echo stops. Silence. You smile. It's just you and the physics of sound. No ghosts, only the physics. You feel a deep sense of peace settling into your bones. The worries of tomorrow, the coin you owe the cobbler, the leak in your roof, they seem very small from up here. The aqueduct puts things in perspective. It has stood for generations. It deals with millions of gallons of water. Your problems are droplets. They will evaporate. The stone remains. You look at the water again. It is mesmerizing how it reflects the starlight. Tiny pinpricks of light dancing on the black surface. It looks like a river of liquid sky. You're walking beside a piece of the heavens brought down to earth. A gentle breeze stirs, carrying the scent of pine again. The mist below is breaking up, revealing dark patches of the valley floor. The world is slowly waking up, though it is still deep night. You see a light moving far below, a cart with a lantern, perhaps a farmer heading to the early market. It crawls slowly along the unseen road. You watch it for a while, a tiny spark in the vast dark. You wish him a safe journey. You are the lighthouse keeper watching the ships. You adjust the heavy wool cloak on your shoulder. It is a comforting weight. It feels like a hug. You are warm, dry, and safe. The simple needs of the body are met. There is great contentment in that. You reach a milestone, 7 miles. You're making good time. But you are not rushing. There is no need to rush. The water does not rush. It flows at the exact speed gravity dictates. You do the same. You flow with the night. The stone under your feet changes texture. Here it is newer, a repair done in the last decade. The slabs are smoother, the joints tighter. You can feel the difference through your thin soles. The history of the aqueduct is written in its stones, a patchwork of maintenance and care. You are part of that care. Your eyes are the tools tonight. You stop for a drink. You unstopper your flask and take a long pull. The water is cool and sweet. It refreshes you, waking up your senses. You wipe your mouth with the back of your hand. Simple pleasures. As you continue, you notice the rhythm of your breathing has perfectly synchronized with your steps. In 234, out 234 is a meditative state. Your mind is clear, empty of chatter. You are fully present in the moment. There is only the sensation of the leather on your feet, the wool on your skin, the wood in your hand. You look up at the arches ahead. They seem to march into infinity, fading into the gloom. It is a powerful image of endurance. Standing tall against the dark, you straighten your back. You stand tall too. You are the guardian. The sound of the water seems to deepen, becoming a low, resonant thrumming. It vibrates in your chest. It is a soothing, grounding frequency. It anchors you to the earth. You pass a small roost of pigeons tucked into a niche in the masonry. They are sleeping, heads tucked under wings, little balls of grey fluff. They do not stir as you pass. You move quietly, respecting their rest. The aqueduct is home to many things. The night is turning towards its final act. The quality of the darkness is changing, becoming less dense, more velvety. The anticipation of the dawn is hours away, but the heavy, stagnant feeling of the middle of the night has passed. The air feels active, waiting. You are walking through history. Every stone here was placed by a human hand. Every drop of water is a gift from the earth. You feel a profound connection to the web of life and effort that sustains the empire. You are a strand in that web, strong, necessary. You reach a section where the channel is open to the sky, no cover stones. The water is fully exposed here. It shines like a polished black mirror. The reflection of the moon is crisp and perfect on the surface. You stop to look at it. It is flawless, a perfect circle of light in a river of dark. You realise how tired you are, but it is a good tired, a clean tired. Your body has worked, your mind has rested, you are balanced. You begin to hum a low tune, an old soldier's song, barely audible over the water. It vibrates in your throat. It is a companionable sound, just you and the song and the water. The path continues, endless and inviting. You take a deep breath of the cool, moist air. You grip your staff, you lift your lantern, and you walk on into the peaceful, flowing eternal night. The lantern sways gently with the rhythm of your stride, the pendulum of light marking time in a world without clocks. The flame inside is a living thing, a small captured sun that pushes back the encroaching shadows. It reveals the texture of the path ahead, the worn limestone smoothed by the sandals of 1,000 centuries who walked this way before you. You watch the interplay of light and dark, the way the shadows of the parapet stretch and contract, dancing like silent spirits on the stone. The mist below has begun to shred, revealing glimpses of the sleeping earth. Dark shapes of olive trees emerge from the white sea like islands surfacing after a flood. The air is still thick with moisture, cool and clinging. It settles on your eyelashes, on the wool of your cloak, tiny beads of the night's breath. You wipe your face with a rough hand, the sensation grounding you. Cold skin, warm blood, you are alive in the silent world. You are approaching a castellum divisorium, a junction where the main channel splits to feed a local villa or a smaller town before continuing to roam. The structure looms out of the darkness, a square tower of solid masonry straddling the aqueduct. The sound of the water changes here. It becomes turbulent, louder, echoing within the stone chamber of the tower. You can hear the deep resonant churning as the flow hits the sluice gates. You stop at the heavy wooden door of the tower. It is your duty to check the seals. You pull the iron ring. The door swings open with a groan of dry hinges that seems too loud in the quiet night. Inside, the noise of the water is intense, a roaring, rushing power. The air is cold and smells of wet stone and algae. You hold your lantern high. The light reflects off the dark, swirling water in the distribution tank. It looks like boiling oil, black and dangerous. You check the bronze valves. They are shut tight, green with age, but solid. No leaks. The secondary channel is closed tonight. All the water is destined for the city. You nod in satisfaction. The system is obedient. You close the door and the roar is instantly cut off, reduced back to the familiar muffled hum. The silence that follows feels heavy, ringing in your ears. You continue your patrol. The path narrows as the aqueduct crosses a small dip in the terrain on a single row of arches. The drop to the ground is not far here, perhaps 20 feet, but the isolation feels the same. You're on the high road. To your left, a row of tall poplars lines the streambed below. They rustle softly in a breeze you cannot feel up here. A whispering chorus of leaves, hush, hush. They seem to be urging the world to sleep. Your mind wanders to the city ahead. Rome, the eternal city. Even now, in the deepest part of the night, it never truly sleeps. There are bakers firing up their ovens, the smell of yeast and wood smoke drifting into the streets. There are guards at the gates, leaning on their spears. There are scholars burning oil, reading ancient scrolls, and all of them rely on this water. You are the lifeline, the vein carrying the blood to the heart of the empire. It is a noble weight to carry. You shift the staff to your other hand. The wood is warm where your palm has gripped it. It is a simple tool but versatile, a walking aid, a weapon, a probe. You tap it against the side of the channel wall, thock, thock. The sound is dull and solid, good stone, no hollows, no cracks. The structure is healthy. The clouds overhead have parted fully now. The sky is a magnificent dome of deep velvet indigo. The stars are piercingly bright. You look up and find the Great Bear, wheeling slowly around the pole star. It is a giant clock in the sky. By its position, you know the night is turning. The third watch is well underway. The dawn is still a promise, not yet a threat. You have hours of this peaceful solitude left. You pass a section where the channel is covered by large, flat slabs of terracotta tile instead of stone. They are a warm red colour, even in the moonlight. You run your fingers along the edge of the tiles. They are smoother than the stone fired in kilns hot enough to melt sand. Someone made these tiles. Someone shaped the clay, stamped their mark, stacked them to dry. You wonder about their life. Did they know their work would end up here, guarding the water high above the fields? A nightbird calls out from the valley, a sharp, mournful cry that echoes briefly and fades. An owl? A nightjar? It reminds you that the night belongs to the wild things. You're just a visitor here, a guest on the wall. You walk softly, trying not to disturb the silence more than necessary. The path begins a long, gentle curve to the left, following the contour of a hillside. The view opens up to the west. The moon is lower now, hanging fat and yellow over the horizon, casting long, dramatic shadows across the landscape. The shadows of the aqueduct arches stretch out across the fields like the legs of a giant centipede. It is a striking geometry, light and dark, stone and shadow. Stone, you feel a sense of profound calmness. The rhythmic walking has put you into a meditative state. Your thoughts are slow, fluid, like the water beside you. There is no anxiety, no rush, just the present moment. Step, breath. Listen. Step, breath. Listen. It is a simple existence stripped of all complexity. You notice a small plant growing out of a crack in the mortar of the parapet. A tough little weed clinging to life in the stone. You stop to look at it. It has small, star-shaped flowers closed tight for the night. You do not pull it out. It has earned its place. It is a survivor, like you. You touch one of its leaves gently with your thumb. Sleep well, little one, you whisper. The air is getting colder as the night deepens towards the pre-dawn chill. You can feel it nipping at your nose and ears. You pull your hood up, creating a tunnel of warmth around your face. The wool is scratchy but comforting. It smells of wood smoke, and lanolin is the smell of safety. You reach into your pouch and pull out a small piece of hard cheese. You break off a chunk and chew it slowly. It is salty and sharp. It wakes up your mouth. You follow it with a sip of water from the flask. The water is cold, tasting of the mountains. It cools your throat and settles in your stomach. Fuel for the watch. The aqueduct passes near a sleeping farmhouse. You can see the dark outline of the roof, the faint shape of a cart in the yard. All is still. The animals are asleep in the barn and the people are asleep in their beds. You feel a protective urge towards them. You're watching over their sleep. You are the guardian in the night. It gives your patrol a sense of purpose. You walk on. The sound of the water is a constant companion. It never stops. It never complains. It just flows. There is a lesson in that. To keep going, to do your duty without fanfare, to be useful. The mist has cleared completely now. The valley floor is dark and distinct. You can see the lines of the fields, the dark clumps of woods, the winding ribbon of a road. It is a map laid out in shades of black and grey. You are the cartographer of the night, reading the land with your eyes. You feel the solidity of the stone beneath your feet. It is unshakable. It has been here for years, and it will be here for years to come. You are fleeting, but the stone is permanent. It is a humbling thought, but also comforting. You are part of something bigger than yourself, something that will last. You check your lanterns again. The flame is burning lower, consuming the oil. You will need to trim the wick soon. You stop and set the lantern on the parapet. You open the little glass door. The heat radiates out, warming your hands. You use a small metal pick to adjust the wick. The flame flares up, brighter and cleaner. You close the door. The light is renewed. A small act of maintenance, but satisfying. You pick up the lantern and resume your walk. The brighter light casts longer, sharper shadows. You watch your own shadow stretching out behind you, a giant figure walking on the clouds. The aqueduct enters a grove of stone pines. The trees grow close to the structure, their umbrella-like canopies creating a tunnel of darkness overhead. The moonlight is blocked, dappled only in small patches on the path. The air here smells intensely of pine resin and needles. It is a dark, fragrant corridor. The sound of the water seems louder in the enclosed space, bouncing off the tree trunks. You hear the scuttle of a small animal in the branches, a squirrel or a dormouse. Life is everywhere, hidden in the dark. You are not alone. You are surrounded by a breathing, living world. You emerge from the trees back into the open starlight. The sudden expanse of the sky makes you take a deep breath. It is vast, limitless. You feel your spirit expanding to fill the space. You are approaching this bridge where the aqueduct crosses a small river. The arches are high here, elegant and slender. You can hear the sound of the river below, a different note than the aqueduct. The river splashes and babbles, chaotic and free. The aqueduct hums, disciplined and controlled. 2 waters, 2 paths, one wild, one tamed. You walk the tamed path, but you listen to the wild one. You stop in the middle of the bridge. You look down at the river. It is a ribbon of white foam in the dark. You look up at the stars. They are steady and cold. You are suspended between the flow of the earth and the stillness of the sky. It is a moment of perfect balance. You feel a deep sense of gratitude for this time, for the quiet, for the solitude, for the simple act of walking. It is a break from the noise of the world, a time to just be. You turn and continue. The path stretches on, endless, but you do not mind. You have nowhere else to be. This is your place. This is your time. You are the night watchman, the keeper of the flow, and you walk on step by steady step into the beautiful waiting dark. The bridge lies behind you now, its elegant arches merging into the shadows of the valley floor. The ground beneath your feet feels different here, more solid, less resonant than the span over the river. You have returned to the earth, though you still walk high above it on the aqueduct's spine. The transition is subtle, a shift in the vibration that travels through the soles of your sandals, a deepening of the hum that resonates from the stone. You adjust your stride to the new density, your body instinctively finding the most efficient way to move. The path ahead enters a long straight section, a rectilineo that seems to stretch all the way to the horizon. In the daylight, this might look monotonous, a never-ending line of masonry. But in the dark, it is a comfort. There are no surprises here. No sharp turns, no sudden drops, just the straight, true line of Roman engineering cutting through the chaos of nature. It draws your eye forward, a perspective trick that makes the aqueduct look like a ladder to the stars. You feel a deep kinship with the water flowing beside you. On this straight path, the water is calm, its surface unbroken by ripples. It slides along the channel with a glassy perfection, sliding over the waterproof opus seninum lining, that special mix of crushed tile and lime that turns rock hard and red. You know that lining. You've seen the maintenance crews patching it in the summers, sweating in the heat. But now it is just a smooth red vein carrying the lifeblood of the city. The air has become incredibly still. The breeze that teased you on the bridge has died away completely. The silence is heavy, pressing against your ears like a physical weight. But it is not an oppressive weight. It is a blanket. It muffles the world. The only sound is the water. Flow, flow, flow. It is a white noise that scrubs the thoughts from your mind. You are no longer thinking about the past or the future. You are simply here, a moving point in a stationary world. You raise your lantern to check the flame. The oil level is dropping slowly, a golden liquid measuring out the hours. The wick is burning clean, a small blue heart at the base of the yellow flame. It smells of olive oil, a warm kitchen smell that feels out of place on this high, cold wall, yet it brings a sense of domestic safety. You are carrying your own hearth with you. As you walk, you notice the changing vegetation down below. The olive groves have given way to a dense patch of oak forest. The trees are old, their canopies interlocking to form a solid roof of leaves over the forest floor. From your vantage point, it looks like a sea of black waves. You're sailing over the treetops. The smell here is different, sharper, acidic with the scent of decaying leaves and damp bark. It is the smell of the deep woods, ancient and secretive. A large moth, attracted by your light, flutters out of the darkness. It bumps softly against the glass of the lantern, tink, tink, before spiralling away back into the night. A brief visitor. You wonder where it goes, navigating the vast dark with such fragile wings. It makes you feel solid, heavy, grounded. You are the stone, it is the wind. Your shoulder aches slightly from the weight of the staff. You switch hands, the wood sliding smoothly through your palm. The movement is fluid, practiced. You don't even break your stride. Your body has become an extension of the patrol. You are a machine of flesh and bone, maintaining the machine of stone and water. There is a dignity in that, a quiet pride. You are necessary. Far away to the north, you see a flash of light on the horizon. It is faint, a quick pulse of white. Lightning. A storm is walking across the mountains, miles and miles away. You stop and wait for the thunder. You count the seconds. 1, 2, 3, 10, 20. No sound comes. The storm is too far away. It is a silent spectacle, a battle of elements that has nothing to do with you. You're safe here in the clear, dry night. You watch another flash, illuminating the jagged profile of a distant peak for a split second before plunging it back into obscurity. It highlights the peace of your own position. The storm is there, you are here, and here all is calm. You continue walking. The visual rhythm of the parapet wall is hypnotic. Stone block, mortar line, stone block, mortar line. It passes in your peripheral vision like a scrolling script. It lulls you. Your eyelids feel heavy, not with exhaustion, but with relaxation. Your eyes are open, but your gaze is soft, unfocused. You are seeing everything, yet looking at nothing in particular. The water beside you seems to be moving slower now, though you know it is an illusion. It is the trick of the staring. The water and the stone are moving at different speeds relative to time. The stone stands still for centuries. The water moves constantly. You are the mediator between them. You walk at the speed of life, somewhere between the stillness of the rock and the rush of the river. You reach a small inspection hatch, a square opening in the side of the channel wall used for cleaning. It is sealed with a heavy lead plate. You run your hand over the metal. It is cold, colder than the stone. It has the stamp of the Emperor on it, an eagle and a wreath, the symbol of power. But out here in the dark, the Emperor is just a name. The water is the real power. The water decides if the city lives or dies. The lid plate is just a seal. You think of the baths in the city, the great baths of Caracalla or Trajan. You imagine the steam rising from the hot pools, the sound of laughter, the slap of sandals on wet marble. The people there, soaking in the warm water, do not think of you. They do not think of the cold wind, the dark woods, the solitary walk. And that is how it should be. The foundation must remain invisible for the structure to be beautiful. You are the foundation. You are the invisible support. The path begins to rise slightly. The aqueduct is maintaining its gradient, but the land below is dropping away into a shallow basin. You're getting higher relative to the ground. The air feels thinner, purer. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the night. It tastes of ozone and wet granite. It wakes you up, sharpening your edges. You look up at the sky. The Milky Way has shifted. It now runs directly parallel to the aqueduct, a river of stars mirroring the river of water. As above, so below, the philosophers say. You're walking between two rivers, one of light, one of liquid. You feel suspended in a cosmic geometry. It is a spiritual feeling, a sense of being part of a great, universal clockwork. You pass a section where the parapet is lower, barely knee-high. It offers no protection against the fall, but you are not afraid. You know the width of the path, you know where your feet fall, you trust your body. You walk closer to the channel, letting the presence of the water anchor you. The surface of the water is so smooth here it looks solid, like a polished black walkway. It is tempting to step onto it, to walk on the water, but you know its power. It would sweep you away in an instant. It is a beautiful danger. A small bat swoops down from the darkness, diving for an insect in the light of your lantern. It turns on a dime, erratic and impossible, and vanishes again. A master of the air. You smile. The night is full of masters. The spider, the fox, the bat, the owl. And you, the master of the stone path. You begin to count your steps. It is a game to keep the mind occupied. A mantra. Unus, duo, tres, quatuor. 1, 2, 3, 4. The numbers repeat over and over. They mesh with the sound of the water. The counting becomes a song. It pushes away the stray thoughts. There is only the number. There is only the step. Quinque, sex, septem, octo, 5, 6, 7, 8. The repetition is soothing. It is like a lullaby you sing to yourself. You feel your heart rate slowing down, matching the slow, steady beat of your walk. Your muscles are loose, warm, the tension of the day has completely evaporated. There is no tension in the night, only existence. You see a shadow ahead that looks different from the others, a vertical shape. As you get closer, you see it is a sippus, another boundary stone, but this one is older, weathered almost smooth. You stop to examine it. The inscription is gone, erased by wind and rain. It is a mute witness. It has stood here for perhaps 100 years. It has seen thousands of nights like this. It has seen soldiers, slaves, emperors and thieves, and now it sees you. You place your hand on its rounded top. It feels like patting the head of an old dog. Good watch, you whisper. You continue. The aqueduct crosses a small country lane below. You can see the ruts of cartwheels in the dried mud of the road, illuminated by the starlight. It is empty. The road crosses under the arch, perpendicular to your path. The intersection of two journeys. One goes to the market, the other goes to the fountains. You're on the higher road, the noble road. The sound of the water changes pitch again. It becomes deeper, a throatier rumble. You're approaching a section where the channel widens slightly to slow the flow before a curve. The water piles up against the outer wall, swirling in lazy circles. You stop and watch the eddies. They form spirals, spinning slowly before dissolving. Like galaxies, like thoughts. You watch one form spin and vanish, then another. It is incredibly relaxing. You could watch it for hours. But you must move on. The patrol's a circle. It must be completed. You turn away from the water and face the dark path again. The lantern swings, the shadows jump, you step forward. Your mind drifts to the concept of the arch, the perfect shape, the keystone holding it all together. The more weight you put on it, the stronger it gets. It is a paradox, strength through stress. You feel like an arch yourself, the solitude, the cold, the long walk, they are the weight. But they make you strong, they hold you together. You're built to carry this. The mist begins to return, distinct wisps curling over the edge of the wall like white smoke. It softens the world again. The sharp edges of the stars blur. The moon gains a halo, a ring of rainbow-coloured light. It looks magical, a portent of good fortune. The moon's eye. It is watching over you. You can smell rain now. Not the storm you saw earlier, but a gentle rain coming from the west. The air is heavy with it. It is a sweet smell, promising life to the dry fields. You pull your cloak tighter, preparing. You do not mind the rain. It is just another form of water. You are the guardian of water. The rain is your kin. A drop falls, then another. Plip, plip. They hit the stone path, turning the dust into dark spots. They hit the surface of the channel, creating expanding rings that distort the reflection of the moon. Plip, plip, plip. The sound is gentle, percussive. It adds a new layer to the symphony of the night. The rush of the channel, the hum of the wind, the tap of the rain. You walk through the light shower. The rain is cool on your face. It feels cleansing. It washes away the dust of the patrol. It runs down the leather of your cloak, shedding easily. You are waterproof. You are warm inside your shell. The rain stops as quickly as it started. A passing cloud. The stones are slick now, shining like polished obsidian in the lantern light. You step carefully. You must respect the stone. It is hard and unforgiving. But you know its moods. You know where to place your foot. You walk with the confidence of experience. You're approaching a castellum aquae, a large water tower that marks the end of this sector. It is a dark, hulking silhouette against the sky. Your destination for the night, or at least the turning point. It looks like a fortress, solid, immovable. You reach the heavy wooden door of the tower. You take a heavy iron key from your belt. It is cold and rough. You slide it into the keyhole. It turns with a heavy clunk. The mechanism is solid, well oiled. You push the door open. Inside there is a small room for the watchman. A table, a chair, a small fireplace. The embers of a fire are still glowing red in the grate left by the previous guard. It is a welcoming sight. You step inside and close the door, shutting out the wind and the vast empty night. The sound of the water is muffled here, a distant rumble behind the stone walls. You hang your lantern on a hook by the door. The room is bathed in warm yellow light. You exhale a long breath, watching the steam rise from your damp cloak. You have arrived, but the night is not over. This is just a pause. You walk to the fireplace and add a small log to the embers. The wood catches, crackling softly. Snap. Pop. The smell of wood smoke fills the small stone room. It is the smell of home. You sit on the heavy wooden chair, groaning slightly as you take the weight off your feet. You stretch your legs out towards the warmth. You close your eyes. You can still feel the motion of the walk in your body, the phantom rhythm. Left, right, left, right. The sound of the water is still in your ears, an echo that never truly fades. You are still on the aqueduct, even when you are sitting down. You take a moment to simply be. No walking, no watching, just resting. You feel the heat of the fire seeping into your bones, chasing away the chill of the high patrol. It feels luxurious. You are a king in his castle, a castle high above the clouds. You look around the room. The walls are bare stone, unadorned. A shelf holds a few simple items, a clay jug of water, a spare coil of rope, a hammer. Tools of the trade. They are honest objects. They have a purpose, just like you. You reach for the clay jug and pour a cup of water. It's the same water you have been guarding. You drink it. It is cool, clean, perfect. It tastes of the journey. You taste the mountains, the tunnels, the bridges. You are drinking the story of the aqueduct. You sit for a while, letting the silence of the room restore you. The fire hisses softly. The wind moans gently outside the thick walls. You're safe, you're warm, you've done your duty. But the water is still flowing. Outside this room, the great river continues its march. It does not stop for you to rest. It calls to you. You know you cannot stay here too long. You are the watcher, and the watch must be kept. You stand up. Your legs feel lighter, refreshed. You wrap your cloak tight again. You pick up your lantern. You check the flame, still strong. You open the door. The night rushes in to meet you. The cold air, the vast sky, the sound of the rush. It welcomes you back. You step out onto the ledge. You close the door behind you. Clack. You're back in the world of shadow and stone. You turn to face the path back, or perhaps the path forward to the next sector. It doesn't matter. The path is the same, the water is the same. You tap your staff on the stone. Tap. A signal to the night. I am here. You begin to walk. The rhythm returns instantly. Clack, clack, clack. You fall back into the trance. The fire in the room is a memory. The cold reality of the aqueduct is the present. And it is beautiful. The moon has climbed higher, shrinking slightly as it approaches the zenith. The shadows have shortened, tucking themselves under the arches. The world is revealing more of itself. You can see the texture of the hills, the folds of the land. You pass a section where the channel is leaking slightly. A dark stain on the stone, a slow drip. Drip, drip, drip. You step. You mark the spot in your mind. You will tell the repair crew in the morning. It is a small wound, easily fixed. But you caught it. That is your job. To catch the small things before they become big things. You feel a sense of accomplishment. You walk on. The leak is behind you. The flow continues. You are moving through a corridor of time. The Romans say that water is the conqueror of all things. It wears down mountains, it carves valleys, it destroys and it creates. And you are walking beside this conqueror, keeping it in check. You are the tamer of the lion. The stars are rotating. The constellation of the hunter has moved towards the west. Time is wheeling overhead, massive and shadent. You are a microscopic gear in this giant mechanism. But a gear is essential. If you stop, the watch stops. so you do not stop. You find yourself humming a tune again, a different one this time, a slow morning song from your village. It fits the mood of the night. The notes float out over the valley and are lost, no one hears them. It is a private concert. The path curves again. You lean into it, you are one with the structure. You are the stone that walks, you are the water that thinks, you are the aqueduct. And so you continue, step by step, breath by breath. The night is long, but you have the patience of the stone, you have the endurance of the water, you are the sleepless historian of the high road, and you walk on into the endless, comforting, flowing dark. The rhythm of your sandals on the wet stone has become the only clock that matters. Clack, pause, clack, pause. It is a slow, steady heartbeat that echoes into the void of the night. The rain has passed completely now, leaving the air scrubbed clean, sharp and biting with the chill of the altitude. The limestone blocks beneath your feet are drying in patches, the moisture evaporating into the thin air, but in the hollows and grooves, tiny pools of water still catch the moonlight, shimmering like scattered coins. You are walking on a path of silver and shadow. You're entering a section of the aqueduct known for its height, where the valley floor drops away drastically, leaving the structure soaring on double-tiered arches. The sense of isolation here is profound. You are severed from the earth, floating on a ribbon of masonry. To your right, the drop is absolute. A plunge into a deep well of darkness where the tops of the oak trees are just vague, textured shapes miles below its seams. To your left, the water flows on, indifferent to the dizzying height. It knows only the channel, the stone, the slope. It trusts the structure completely. And so must you. You run your hand along the parapet wall. It is lower here, barely thigh-high. A minimal concession to safety. The stone is rough, pitted by decades of wind and rain. It feels ancient, geological. You can feel the vibration of the water through the wall, a low, constant trembling energy. It is as if the aqueduct is shivering, or perhaps purring. It is alive, a living artery of the empire pulsing with cold, clear blood. The wind is stronger up here, unobstructed by hills or trees. It whistles through the arches below, a mournful, flute-like sound. Hoo-hoo, it tugs at your cloak, flapping the heavy wool against your legs. You pull the fabric tighter, wrapping yourself in a cocoon. The resistance of the wind makes you feel solid. You are a heavy object in a world of moving air. You plant your feet firmly with each step. You are the anchor. Your lantern casts a swinging arc of light that reveals the texture of the water surface. Here, suspended over the valley, the flow seems to hurry, rushing towards the solid ground ahead. The surface is striated with lines of current, like muscles tensing under a dark skin. You watch a twig, stripped of its bark and gleaming white, race past you in the centre of the channel. It is moving faster than a man can run. It is a reminder of the power contained within this stone trough. If you were to fall in, there would be no swimming. You would be part of the flow, swept away to Rome. The danger commands respect. You give the water its space. You look up from the mesmerizing flow to the horizon. Far to the west, the glow of the city is becoming more distinct. It is not a single light, but a low, hazy dome of amber luminance pressing against the bottom of the night sky. Rome, the Caput Mundi, the head of the world. Even at this hour it burns. There are torches in the forums, lamps in the palaces, fires in the kilns. It is a beast that never fully closes its eyes. You are bringing it the water to wash its face, to quench its thirst. You feel a distant connection to that glow, but no desire to be there. Here in the dark there is peace. There in the light there is noise. You prefer the peace. The path begins to descend slightly as the aqueduct reconnects with a ridgeline. The double arches merge back into single arches, and the ground rises up to meet you. The wind dies down, blocked by the earth. The sudden quiet is startling. The whistling stops. The flapping of your cloak stops. There is only the rush of the water and the scuff of your sandals. You pass a section of the wall where the facing stones have fallen away, revealing the core of the structure. It is opus caementitium, Roman concrete, a mix of volcanic ash, lime and rock chunks. It looks ugly, rough and chaotic compared to the neat brick facing. but you know it is the secret of the Empire's strength. It sets underwater. It gets harder with time. It turns it into artificial rock. You touch the rough grey mass. It is cold and gritty. It feels eternal. This concrete will outlast the bricks. It will outlast the Emperor. It will outlast you. There is comfort in touching something so permanent. It makes your own worries feel transient, light as dust. A sound from the scrub brush on the hillside to your left makes you pause. A rustling. Dry leaves crunching. You stop, lifting your lantern. The light pushes back the shadows. 2 eyes reflect the beam. Green gold orbs low to the ground. A badger? A wild dog? The eyes blink, then turn away. The creature crashes away through the undergrowth, seeking deeper cover. You lower the lantern. You are the intruder here, the giant on the wall. The animals of the night have their own business, their own patrols. You nod into the dark. Go in peace, you think. You resume your walk. The fatigue is creeping back into your legs, a dull ache in the calves. It is familiar. It is the feeling of work. You welcome it. It proves you're doing your duty. You shift your weight, lengthening your stride to stretch the muscles. The movement feels good. You're a machine of walking. Your mind drifts to the engineering of the gradient. You know that for every 100 feet you walk, the floor of the channel drops only a few inches, a barely perceptible slope, too steep and the water would tear the stone apart with its speed, too flat and it would stagnate and fester. It must be perfect, a perfect balance between gravity and friction. It is a philosophical concept made stone. The middle way, not too fast, not too slow, just flowing. You try to apply this to your own mind. Do not rush towards the dawn. Do not linger in the night. Just flow with the moment. You reach a maintenance access stair, a narrow flight of stone steps carved into the side of the aqueduct leading down to the ground. It is barred by a heavy iron gate. You check the lock. It is secure, rusted shut, it seems. No one has come up this way in a long time. You look down the steps. They vanish into the shadows of the valley floor. It looks like a staircase into the underworld. You're glad to stay on the upper level, in the realm of the stars. The moon has moved behind a thin veil of high cirrus clouds, diffusing its light into a soft, pearlescent glow. The sharp shadows on the path soften, becoming grey and fuzzy. The world loses its hard edges. It looks like a painting in ink and wash. The water reflects this softness, turning from obsidian to dull silver. It looks thick, like mercury. You pull out your water flask again. You take a small sip, swishing the liquid in your mouth before swallowing. It is room temperature now, warmed by your body heat against your side. It tastes of the leather flask, oaky and tanned. A soldier's taste. It reminds you of your time in the legions, marching through Gaul, through the rain and the mud. This walk is better. Here you are not marching to kill, you are marching to preserve. You pass a marker stone embedded in the wall. 15. 15 miles. The numbers are deeply incised, filled with shadow. You trace the V with your thumb. The stone is cold, sucking the heat from your skin. 15 miles of continuous, unbroken flow. It is a miracle, really. To move a river through the air, you never quite get used to the audacity of it. The air smells of wild thyme now, rising from the dry slopes below. It is a pungent herbal scent crushed by the night wind. It clears your head. Nature is reclaiming the space around the stone. Vines are creeping up the piers of the arches, little fingers of ivy seeking purchase in the mortar. You know the maintenance crews will strip them away in the spring, but for now, the green is winning. It softens the severe lines of the Roman architecture. You enter a curve where the channel winds around a limestone outcrop. The water banks high on the outer wall, swirling and folding over itself. The sound is louder here, a gurgle and a splash. You can hear the air bubbles being trapped and released. Bloop, gurgle, rush. It sounds like a conversation. The water is talking to the stone. You listen closely. It speaks of the mountains, of the snowmelt, of the dark tunnels. It has a memory. As you round the outcrop, the wind shifts, bringing the smell of charcoal smoke again. Stronger this time. You look down into the valley. There, in a small clearing near the base of the aqueduct, is a fire. A real fire, crackling and bright orange. A group of figures sits around it. Shepherds perhaps, or travellers camping for the night. You can hear faint laughter, the sound of a voice raised in a story. They are warm. They are together. You are up here alone in the cold. For a moment, you feel a pang of longing to be down there, sharing a wineskin, warming your hands by the flames, listening to a tale, but it passes quickly. Your place is here. You are the watcher on the wall. If you were down there, who would guard the flow? You are the silent protector of their comfort. They can sleep and laugh because you are walking. There is a noble sacrifice in that. You watch them for a moment longer, tiny figures in a pool of light, and then you walk on, leaving them to their warmth. You have the moon. That is light enough. The path straightens again. The stars are wheeling overhead, a slow, majestic carousel. You recognize Cassiopeia, the W shape high in the sky. The queen on her throne, she watches you. You watch her. It is a polite exchange between royalty. You adjust the lantern in your hand, switching grips. The metal handle is warm. The light is your small circle of influence. Wherever you step, the light goes. You create your own reality, one pace at a time. The darkness is not empty. It is just waiting for your light to reveal it. You notice the texture of the opus synonym lining the channel has changed slightly. Here, there are repair patches, newer sections of pinkish cement smoothing over old cracks. You can see the trowel marks left by the mason, sweeping arcs in the mortar. You can almost see the movement of his arm, a ghost of labour. You appreciate his work. He made the channel smooth so the water wouldn't fret. He cared. You care too. A light mist begins to form again in the low spots of the path, curling around your ankles like white smoke. It feels cold and damp, soaking into the leather of your sandals, and makes your footsteps sound muffled. Soft. Hush. Hush. You are walking on clouds. You begin to hum a low note, harmonizing with the hum of the aqueduct. A deep, resonant ohm. The vibration travels through your chest, merging with the vibration of the stone. You feel connected, plugged into the energy of the structure. You are not just on the aqueduct, you are part of it, a moving component. The water looks deeper here. The channel is brimful. The rains in the mountains must have been heavy days ago. The delay of the flow means the mountain weather arrives in Rome days later. You are seeing the past arriving in the present. The water passing you now fell as rain when you were sleeping 3 nights ago. It is a time machine. You pass a small shrine carved directly into one of the large stone blocks of the parapet. It is old, worn almost smooth. A figure of a nymph pouring water from a jar. The local people believe spirits live in the water. Maybe they do, maybe the water itself is a spirit. You touch the carving gently. It is good to be on the right side of the spirits. Flow well, you whisper. The solitude is absolute, but not lonely. You are accompanied by the elements. The wind is your companion, the stars are your guide, the water is your charge. You feel a sense of fullness, of completeness. There is nothing missing from this moment. It is perfect as it is. You think of the day to come, the sun rising, the birds singing, the heat returning to the stone, the relief sentry coming to take your place. You will hand him the lantern. You will say, all is clear. You will walk down the stairs back to the earth. You will eat. You will sleep. But that is the future. Right now there is only the night, and the night is long and beautiful. You walk through a patch of shadow cast by a tall cypress tree growing close to the wall. The darkness is total for 3 steps. You step into the void, trusting the path. 1, 2, 3. You emerge back into the starlight. A small act of faith. The sound of the water changes again, becoming a higher-pitched ripple. You look down. A small branch has fallen into the channel, catching on the edge. It is creating a wake, a disturbance in the smooth flow. You stop. You cannot leave it. It might catch more debris, create a dam. You set your lantern down. You lean over the parapet, reaching down. The water is cold, freezing as your fingers brush the surface. You grab the branch. It is slick and wet. You pull it out, dripping, and toss it over the side of the aqueduct. It falls silently into the darkness below. You wipe your hand on your cloak. The flow smooths out instantly, the ripple vanishing. Order is restored. You feel a disproportionate sense of satisfaction. You have fixed the world. You pick up the lantern and continue. The rhythm returns. Clack, clack. You're approaching a long bridge over a wide, shallow depression. The arches stretch out ahead, pale in the moonlight. They look like the rib cage of a giant skeleton bleached by the sun. You walk along the spine. The wind picks up again here, whistling through the ribs. It is a haunting, beautiful sound. The song of the aqueduct. You feel the vastness of the empire in this structure. Thousands of miles of roads, aqueducts, walls, all built by hands like yours, stone by stone. It is overwhelming to think of the scale, but you don't have to build it all. You just have to walk this mile. That is enough. The air is getting colder as the night turns towards its deepest point. The dead of night, but it doesn't feel dead. It feels suspended, waiting. You are the keeper of the weight. You adjust the wool around your neck. You're warm inside your layers. The cold is just a sensation on your cheeks, a reminder of the environment. It makes the warmth inside feel sweeter. You look at the water again. It is mesmerizing. Dark, fluid, powerful, it is the blood of the earth. And you are the guardian. You walk on, steady, calm, eternal. The night stretches out before you, a dark road of peace, and you are happy to walk it. There is a section ahead where the maintenance path narrows. The stone is older here, perhaps from the original construction of the Aqua Marcia, upon which the Claudia was sometimes piggybacked. You tread carefully. The stones are uneven, worn down by centuries of sandals. You feel the history in the soles of your feet. You are walking in the footsteps of ancestors. You wonder if they felt this same peace. Did they look at this same moon and wonder about their lives? You feel a ghostly camaraderie. You are never alone on the wall. The past walks with you. A cloud drifts across the moon, casting the world into a sudden deep gloom. You do not slow down. You know the way. Your lantern creates a bubble of golden light, and that is all the world you need. The stone wall to your right, the dark water to your left. The parameters of your existence are simple. Safety, duty, flow. You hear the hoot of an owl close by this time. Hoo, hoo, hoo. It sounds soft, feathery. You look up and see a silent shape glide over your head, wings spread wide, blotting out the stars for a heartbeat. The silent hunter. It lands on the parapet 50 paces ahead, watching you. You keep walking. It does not move. As you get closer, it swivels its head, yellow eyes catching your light. It judges you, then decides you are harmless. It takes flight again, dropping silently into the valley. A meeting of night spirits. The smell of the air changes as you pass over a patch of damp ground below. It smells of mushrooms and wet earth. A fertile, heavy scent. It contrasts with the sterile, clean smell of the stone and water. Life is messy and fragrant down there. Up here it is clean and austere. You prefer the austerity tonight. It clarifies the mind. You find yourself counting the arches again. 91, 92, 93. It is a way to measure the infinite. Each arch is a triumph of mathematics, each keystone locking the forces of gravity into place. You are walking on a chain of frozen force. The water seems to be singing a lower note now, a bass rumble that you feel in your teeth. It is the sound of mass. Tons of water moving. It is a lullaby of power. It makes you feel sleepy, but in a good way. A trance-like state where the body moves on its own and the mind floats free. You imagine the water arriving at the Imperial Palace on the Palatine Hill, pouring into a marble basin, a servant dipping a silver cup, the Emperor drinking. He does not know your name. He does not know you're here, shivering slightly in the cold, walking the wall. But his life depends on you. There is a secret power in that. You smile into the darkness. The path curves gently to the right. You lean into the turn, shifting your centre of gravity. You and the aqueduct are dancing a slow, endless waltz. The mist is returning, rising from the valley floor like a tide. It spills over the parapet, wispy tentacles reaching for your ankles. It swirls around the lantern light, creating a halo. The world is shrinking again. Just you, the stone, the water, and the fog. It feels cozy, private. A room with walls made of cloud. You stop for a moment to rest. You lean your back against the high side of the channel wall. The stone is cold, but your cloak protects you. You look up at the sky. The stars are hazy through the mist, like diamonds at the bottom of a pool. You take a deep breath. The air is wet and cool. You close your eyes. You listen. Rush, rush! It is the heartbeat of the world, and you are listening to it. You are the sleepless historian, recording the silence, guarding the flow. and you are at peace. You push yourself off the wall. You pick up the rhythm, clack, clack. The patrol continues into the mist, into the night, into the history. The mist has swallowed the world whole now. The valley, the distant hills, even the sky above. All are gone, replaced by a shifting wall of grey vapour. You're walking inside a cloud. Your lantern light struggles to push more than a few paces ahead, creating a dome of illumination that feels solid, like a room carved out of the fog. The moisture is heavy, beading on your eyebrows, dampening your wool-covered cloak until it smells of wet sheep and ancient dust. It is a primitive smell, comforting in its earthiness. The sound of the water has changed again. In this dense fog, the higher frequencies are dampened, leaving only a deep, guttural thrum. It sounds like the earth itself is humming. You can feel the vibration in your chest, a sympathetic resonance. You're not just walking beside the water, you're walking with it. Two flows moving through the void. One of liquid, one of blood and bone. You step carefully. The stones are slick with condensation. You feel the slight slip of your sandal leather on the limestone, a momentary loss of friction that your muscles instinctively correct. It keeps you present. You cannot sleepwalk here, you must be aware. The danger is a quiet companion, walking just to your right, over the low parapet. But you do not fear it, you respect it. You and the height have an understanding. As you move through the whiteout, your other senses sharpen to compensate for the lack of sight. The smell of the water is stronger, cold, mineral, sharp. You can smell the dissolved limestone, the memory of the mountains it carved. You can smell the ozone of the mist, a clean metallic tang. You can hear the dripping of water from the underside of the arches below you, a slow, rhythmic plip, plip, echoing up from the invisible depths. It sounds like a clock ticking in a vast empty hall. You pass a section where the aqueduct cuts through a small hillock, the channel sunk deep into the ground. The walls rise up on either side of you, higher than your head, blocking the wind. The air here is still and silent. The fog settles in the trench, thick as soup. You're wading through it. It swirls around your waist as you move, disturbed by your passage. You feel like a spirit moving through the underworld. You run your hand along the rough tufa wall to your right. It is cool and damp. You feel a patch of moss, soft and velvety under your fingers. Life clinging to the stone. You trace the shape of the blocks. You find a mason's mark carved into one. A simple geometric shape. A triangle with a line through it. A signature from the past. A man stood here maybe 100 years ago and carved his mark. I built this, it says. I was here. You trace the lines with your finger. I am here too, you think. I'm keeping watch. The trench ends and you emerge back onto the elevated arches. The wind returns, a gentle breeze that stirs the fog, creating swirling vortices in your light beam. It feels refreshing on your damp face. You take a deep breath, tasting the moisture. It is like drinking the air. You're approaching a castellum, a small distribution tower. It looms out of the mist like a dark ghost, a square block of shadow that solidifies as you get closer. You can hear the water churning inside, a louder, more chaotic sound than the smooth flow of the channel. It is the sound of energy being redirected. You stop at the tower's heavy wooden door. You check the seal. It is tight. You press your ear against the wood. You can hear the rush of the water inside, powerful and angry. It wants to be free, but the stone holds it. The engineering holds it. You pat the door. Hold fast, you whisper. You continue past the tower. The path narrows again. You're back on the high wire. The fog seems to be lifting slightly, or perhaps you're rising above it. The moonlight begins to filter through, turning the grey mist to a luminous pearl. It is beautiful, a world of soft light and soft edges. You find yourself thinking about the nature of your job. It is a job of repetition, of patience. There is no glory in it. No one cheers for the Aqueduct Guard. But without you, the city would dry up. The fountains would stop singing. The baths would go cold. Civilization is built on the backs of the unseen. You are proud to be unseen. There is a quiet dignity in being the foundation. You shift the lantern to your other hand. Your arm is tired, a dull ache in the shoulder. You flex your fingers. The movement feels good. You are a physical being in a physical world. The fatigue is real. The cold is real. The stone is real. It is grounding. You pass a small niche in the wall where a bird has built a nest. You see the twigs and dried mud. It is empty now, the chick's long flown, but it remains, a home on the edge of the world. You smile, even here on this artificial river, nature finds a way to make a home. The mist clears suddenly, revealing a patch of sky. The stars are there, watching. They look sharper now, washed by the moisture in the air. You pick out the Pleiades again, the seven sisters. They are high in the west now. The night is moving on. The dawn is getting closer, though still hours away. You look down. The valley floor is still hidden, a sea of white clouds, but you can see the tops of the hills rising like dark islands. It looks like an ocean. You are sailing across the sky on a ship of stone. The water beside you flows on, smooth, dark, relentless. It does not care about the fog, it does not care about the time. It only knows the slope. Down, always down, towards the city, towards the sea. You feel a sense of peace settle over you, a deep, abiding calm. The rhythm of the walk has hypnotic power. Step, clack, step, clack. It empties the mind. You're not worrying about tomorrow, you're not regretting yesterday. You're just here, walking, breathing, watching. You are the sleepless historian, and your story is written in water and stone. The mist has receded, pulling back into the deep hollows of the valley floor like a tide going out. The air around you is suddenly crystal clear, sharper than before, as if the fog scrubbed the atmosphere clean. You can see for miles now. The moonlight reflects off the wet stones of the aqueduct, turning the long, straight path ahead into a glittering silver road. It looks slippery, but your feet know the texture. You trust the grit of the limestone. You trust the leather of your sandals. You walk with the easy confidence of a man who knows every inch of his territory. The temperature has dropped another degree. You feel it in the tip of your nose, in the way your fingers stiffen slightly around the handle of the lantern. It is the deep cold of the late watch, the conticinium, the time of dead silence before the rooster crows. You pull your cloak tighter, grateful for the heavy, oily wool. It is a fortress against the chill. You are a self-contained unit of warmth moving through a world of cold blue stone. You notice a change in the masonry to your right. The large rectangular blocks of Publican era give way to the diamond-shaped brickwork of a later repair, opus reticulatum. The pattern is mesmerising in the lantern light, a net of shadow and stone. You run your free hand along the wall as you walk. The bricks are rougher, warmer to the touch than the travertine. You think of the masons who laid them, men with calloused hands and dusty tunics, working under the hot Italian sun years ago. They are gone, but their work remains, holding up the water that flows beside you. You feel a silent brotherhood with them. You are the guardian of their legacy. The sound of the water seems to have clarified with the air. It is no longer a muffled thrum, but a crisp, distinct rushing sound. It sounds like silk being torn over and over again. You look down at the channel. The water is blacker than the night sky, a moving void. Only the occasional ripple catches the starlight, flashing like a submerged diamond. It flows with such purpose, it does not hesitate, it does not doubt, it simply goes where the stone guides it. You try to let your mind be like the water, flowing, unobstructed. You pass a small drainage scupper, a hole carved through the parapet to let rainwater drain off the walkway. You stop for a moment to clear a handful of wet leaves from the opening. You toss them over the side. They fall silently into the darkness. A small act of maintenance, a small act of care. The aqueduct is a living thing, and it needs grooming. You are the groom. Ahead, the silhouette of a tall cypress tree rises up from the valley floor, its tip reaching just above the level of the parapet. It stands like a dark sentinel, motionless in the still air. As you pass it, you smell the sharp, resinous scent of the needles. It is a green, living smell that cuts through the mineral scent of the stone and water. It reminds you of the wild world down below, the world of roots and earth, but you belong to the world of the sky and the stone. Your lantern flame flickers slightly, dancing in a draft you cannot feel. You stop to check the oil level. It is getting low, but there is enough to see you to the next station. You trim the wick with the small metal pick hanging from the lantern's base. The flame flares up, brighter and steadier. The smell of the burnt wick, acrid and oily, briefly fills your nose. It is a domestic smell, a human smell. It anchors you. You resume your pace. The rhythm returns effortlessly. Clack, clack, clack. You find yourself thinking about the engineering of the arch beneath your feet, how the wedge-shaped stones, the voussoirs, press against each other. The heavier the load, the tighter they lock. It is a miracle of physics. You're walking on a structure held together by its own weight. It feels solid, unshakable. It makes you feel secure. In a world of chaos and politics and wars, the arch is truth. The arch does not lie. If it were a lie, it would fall, but it stands. You are approaching a section where the aqueduct crosses a small ancient road. You can see the pale strip of the track below, winding between the hills. It is empty. No carts, no travellers. Just the dust and the moonlight. You feel a sense of superiority, up here on your high road. You're travelling the path of the gods, the path of the water. They are down there, in the mud. The wind picks up again. Sun, a gentle westerly breeze. It carries the scent of distant rain, but also something else. The faint, sweet smell of wood smoke from a dying fire miles away. Someone is awake, or perhaps it is just the ghost of a fire, the memory of warmth. You pull the air deep into your lungs. It wakes you up. You pass a cypress, a boundary stone leaning slightly at an angle. The earth has shifted over the years, tilting the marker, but it still stands. You pat its rounded top as you pass. "Stand fast, old friend," you whisper. You talk to the stones often. They are the only ones who listen. The water beside you swirls as it passes a slight irregularity in the channel wall. A small eddy forms, spinning clockwise, a miniature whirlpool. You watch it form and dissolve, form and dissolve. It is a clock made of water. Time is fluid here. It does not tick, it flows. Your legs are tired now, a heavy dull ache in the thighs. But it is a good ache. It is the feeling of capability. Your body is doing what it was designed to do, move, endure. You're a soldier of the night, and this is your campaign. You look up at the sky, the stars have shifted. The Great Bear is lower in the north. The night is aging. You feel a strange tenderness for the night. It is your companion. It hides the ugliness of the world and reveals the beauty of the heavens. You're grateful for the dark. The path ahead enters a narrow cut through a rocky outcrop. The walls of the cut rise up on either side, blocking the view of the valley. You're in a tunnel without a roof. The sound of the water echoes off the rock walls, louder and more resonant. Rush! It sounds like a crowd whispering. You walk down the centre of the path, your lantern casting long, jumping shadows on the rough rock. You see a lizard froze on the wall, caught in your light. It is small, grey, blending perfectly with the stone. It watches you with an unblinking eye. You pass it without breaking stride. You are just a large shadow passing in the night. It does not fear you. Emerging from the cut, the view opens up again, breathtakingly wide. The Campagna stretches out to the horizon, a sea of shadows and silver mist. You can see the faint, dark line of the Appian Way far to the south, a straight line drawn on the earth. All roads lead to Rome, including this one, this road of water. You think of the fountains in the city that will dance tomorrow because of you. The fountain of the Meta Sudans, sweating water near the Colosseum. The simple basins in the Subura where the poor fill their jugs. You are feeding them all. It gives your solitary walk a sense of profound purpose. You are the silent benefactor. You adjust the strap of your sandal again. It is a comforting ritual. The leather is warm, pliable. You check the knot, secure. You stand up and stomp your feet lightly. Thud, thud. The sound is deadened by the mass of the stone. A shooting star scratches a line of fire across the zenith. Quick, bright, gone. You make a wish, an old habit from childhood. Peace, you think. Just peace. The star is gone, but the wish remains. You're approaching this bridge that spans a deeper ravine. The arches here are triple-tiered, soaring into the sky. You're incredibly high up. The wind is stronger, whistling through the stonework. You feel the exposure, the vulnerability, but you also feel the exhilaration. You're flying. You stop in the middle of the bridge. You lean over the parapet. The bottom of the ravine is a pool of black ink. You cannot see the ground. You are suspended in the void. It is terrifying and beautiful. You drop a small pebble. You wait. You wait. You hear nothing. It is a long way down. You turn back to the water. It flows on, unconcerned with the height. It trusts the channel. You trust the channel. You continue your walk. The sound of the water changes pitch as the channel narrows slightly to increase the pressure. It becomes a higher, more urgent hissing sound. Sss. It sounds like a snake. The water is alive. It has moods. You pass a section where the channel is covered by large slabs of limestone. You walk on top of the covers. The sound of the water is muffled beneath your feet, a vibration more than a noise. You can feel the power of the flow through the soles of your sandals, a river running under your feet. You see a small niche carved into the wall, a shrine to the local spirits of the place. There is a small dried wreath of flowers hanging from a nail. Someone left it there days ago, a votive offering. You straighten it. You nod to the invisible spirits. Guard us, you think. The moon is beginning to set in the west, sinking towards the dark line of the hills. The light is changing, becoming warmer, more gold than silver. The shadows are stretching out, becoming impossibly long. Your own shadow walks ahead of you, a giant leading the way. You feel a sense of timelessness. You could be walking here 1,000 years ago, or 1,000 years from now. The stone would be the same, the water would be the same, the stars would be the same. You are just a brief spark of consciousness in the long timeline of the aqueduct. You reach into your pouch and pull out a piece of dried apple. You chew it slowly. The sweetness is intense. It reminds you of summer orchards, of sunlight. But here in the cold dark, it is just a memory. You swallow, it sustains you. You are nearing the end of your sector. The Castellum Tower is visible ahead, a dark square against the stars. You feel a mix of relief and regret. Relief that you can rest. Regret that the solitude is ending. The patrol is a sacred time. You walk the last few hundred yards with a steady, measured pace. You do not rush. You finish as you started, with dignity. You reach the door of the tower. You open it. The warmth of the room inside hits you. The smell of wood smoke, the light of the fire. The relief sentry looks up from the table. He nods. You nod. No words are needed. You hang your lantern on the hook. You unfasten your cloak. You sit down on the bench. You let out a long breath. But the water flows on. Outside the thick walls, the rush continues, endless, eternal. You close your eyes and you can still hear it. The song of the Empire, the song of the stone, and you rest. Wait, the patrol continues. You are the sleepless historian. There is no true end, only the cycle. Let us step back out, the shift is not over yet, we go deeper. The fire was a nice thought, a brief daydream of the rest to come. But you are not there yet. You are still on the wall. The tower was a hallucination of desire. The reality is the wind and the stone. You shake your head, clearing the image of the warm room. You are here, in the cold, and there are miles yet to go. You blink, refocusing on the path. The stone stretches out, the lantern swings, the rhythm resumes. You are walking through a grove of ancient oaks that grow close to the aqueduct here. Their branches reach out, almost touching the parapet. They are gnarled, twisted shapes in the dark. They look like old men freezing in the wind. You hear the rustle of dry leaves. Scritch, scritch. It sounds like whispering. You feel the texture of the night changing. The air is growing heavier, denser. The darkest hour is approaching. The time when the world is at its lowest ebb. The time when spirits walk. But you are not afraid. You are the spirit of the aqueduct. You pass a section where the water has overflowed slightly, staining the white stone with dark streaks of algae. It looks like black tears. You make a mental note, needs cleaning. The silence is profound. Even the insects have gone quiet. There is only the water. It is the only living thing in the universe. You look at your hands. They are red with cold. You rub them together. The friction creates a spark of heat. You are alive. You look ahead. The path curves into the darkness. You cannot see the end. You don't need to. You only need to see the next step. 1 step. 2 steps. 3 steps. The water flows. The stars watch. And you walk on. The night has deepened into a velvety, almost tangible substance. The continuum, the dead of night, is heavy upon the world. The moon has dipped lower, its light turning from a bright silver to a warm, dusty gold as it nears the western hills. The shadows have lengthened. stretching across the path like long, dark fingers reaching for the channel. You're walking through a landscape of high contrast, where the line between the solid stone and the empty void is drawn in sharp relief. The air is utterly still. The wind that teased your cloak earlier has vanished, leaving a silence so profound that it rings in your ears. It is a vacuum of sound filled only by the one constant, the water. Rush, rush, it is the bass note of existence. Without the wind to disperse it, the sound of the flow seems to amplify, rising up from the channel to envelop you. It is a cocoon of white noise. It pushes away thoughts, memories and worries, leaving only the sensation of movement. You feel the cold seeping through the soles of your sandals. The stone has lost the last of the day's heat and is now radiating the chill of the earth deep below. It travels up your legs, a slow creeping numbness that keeps you awake. You stamp your feet lightly, thump, thump, sending a dull vibration through the masonry. The sound is swallowed instantly by the vastness of the night. You are a small speck of warmth on a frozen monument. You approach a section where the aqueduct crosses a marshy depression. The arches here are lower, squat and thick, built to distribute the weight over the soft ground. The smell of the air changes instantly. It becomes heavy, dank, smelling of stagnant water, rotting reeds and wet mud. It is the smell of the primal earth, contrasting sharply with the clean mineral scent of the flowing water beside you. You are walking the line between the wild, chaotic swamp and the disciplined, engineered river. A mist hangs over the marsh, a low, thick blanket that glows faintly in the starlight. It swirls around the base of the piers, obscuring the ground completely. You're walking on a causeway above a sea of clouds. It feels surreal, dreamlike. You half expect to see the shades of the underworld drifting in that white fog, but there is nothing, only the silence. Your lantern casts a flickering amber circle on the path. You watch the interplay of the light on the stone. The limestone here is pockmarked with age, small craters and grooves that catch the shadow. In the dancing light, the stone seems to move, to breathe. It is an illusion of fatigue, a trick of the eye, but it makes the structure feel alive. You place your hand on the parapet. It is wet with dew, slick and cold. "Steady," you whisper. The stone is solid. The illusion is just in your mind. You find yourself counting the cadence of your breath. Inhale for 3 steps, hold for 1, exhale for 3 steps. It is a rhythm you learned in the legions, a way to march for miles without tiring. It synchronizes your body with the road. You become a pendulum, left, right, left. Breathe. The repetition is a sedative. Your conscious mind retreats, leaving the body to perform its duty on autopilot. You notice a small object on the path ahead. A feather, white, barred with brown. An owl's feather. You stop to pick it up. It is dry, impossibly light in your calloused hand. You twirl it by the quill. It captures the air, spinning silently. A token of the night. You tuck it into the belt of your tunic. A small souvenir. A connection to the silent flyers who share this high road with you. The water beside you seems to be moving faster now. You know it is the same speed, but in the silence it feels more urgent. You look at the surface. It is black, opaque, hiding its depth. It reflects nothing now but the darkness. It is a river of ink writing the history of the night. You wonder about the water molecules passing you right now. In 6 hours, they will be in a cup in a tavern in the Subura. In 12 hours, they might be in the Tiber, flowing to the sea. You are the only witness to this specific moment of their journey. You pass a spicus, a covered section where the roof of the channel is vaulted with brick. The acoustic environment changes abruptly. The sound of the water bounces off the curved ceiling, creating a hollow, resonant echo. Whoosh, whoosh. It sounds like the breathing of a giant beast sleeping in a cave. You walk down the centre of the vaulted tunnel, your footsteps amplifying into loud claps. Clack, clack. You feel exposed by the noise, even though there is no one to hear. You tread softer, trying to match the silence outside. Emerging from the covered section, the sky opens up again, vast and crushing. The Milky Way has rotated, now a diagonal slash across the heavens. The stars are hard, diamond-bright points of cold fire. They look indifferent. They have watched this aqueduct be built stone by stone. They will watch it fall, ruin by ruin, and they will still be burning. It makes you feel small but also free. If you're nothing but dust in the wind, then your troubles are nothing too. You reach for your flask. The water inside is cold, tasting of the leather. You take a sip, letting it linger in your mouth. It wakes up your tongue. You swallow, feeling the cool track of the liquid down your throat. It is the same water flowing beside you. You are drinking the path. You and the aqueduct are one. The path begins to curve gently to the left, following the contour of a hillside covered in scrub oak. The trees are dark shapes, huddled together against the cold. You hear the rustle of a small animal, a dormouse perhaps, scurrying through the dry leaves. Life is everywhere, hidden in the dark seams of the world. You are the only thing walking openly. You pass a section where the mortar between the stones has crumbled away, leaving a deep gap. You pause. You hold your lantern close. The gap goes deep, but the stones are still seated firmly. It is not a structural threat. Not yet, but it is a warning. Time is patient. Time is the enemy of all builders. You make a mental note to report it. Sector 4, Arch 92, mortar loss. It is your small contribution to the war against entropy. The fatigue in your legs has settled into a dull, constant throb. It is not painful, just a heavy presence. It anchors you to the ground. It reminds you of gravity. You adjust your cloak, shifting the weight on your shoulders. The wool is heavy, dragging a little. You straighten your back. You are a Roman. Romans do not slouch on duty. You look ahead. The aqueduct stretches out into the gloom, a pale grey line vanishing into nothing. It looks infinite, as if you could walk forever and never reach the city, never reach the end. Just walking, always walking. The thought is strangely comforting. A simple purpose. Keep moving, keep watching. The moon is now touching the horizon, a distorted orange oval sinking into the distant hills. The light is fading fast. The world is turning blue, then grey, then black. The darkest hour is truly here. The time when the light is gone and the dawn has not yet promised to return. You feel a sudden chill that has nothing to do with the temperature. A primal instinct, a fear of the absolute dark, but you push it down. You have your lantern, you have the stone, you have the water, you're safe. You begin to hum a low tune again, a marching song. 1000 pasos, 1000 pasos, 1,000 paces, 1,000 paces. The vibration in your chest warms you. It breaks the oppressive silence. You are the singer in the void. You pass a milestone. 12 miles. You're making progress. The numbers are a comfort. They measure the unmeasurable. They impose order on the night. The smell of the air changes as the wind shifts. It brings the scent of pine resin from a grove further up the valley. It is sharp, clean, medicinal. It clears your sinuses. You breathe it in deep. It smells of the mountains. It smells of home. You check the flow again. You lift the lantern. The water is smooth, glassy. No debris, no blockage. It is perfect. A sheet of black glass sliding downhill. It is hypnotic. If you stare too long, you feel like you're moving backwards. You shake your head to break the spell. Focus. A shooting star blazes across the southern sky. A long, green streak that fizzles out. A silent firework. You smile. A greeting from the gods, or just a rock burning. Either way, it was for you. You're approaching a bridge over a small river. The sound of the river below is a chaotic babble, a stark contrast to the disciplined hum of the aqueduct. The river is wild, untamed. The aqueduct is order. You're on the side of order. You walk across the bridge, listening to the conversation between the two waters. One free, one captured. One wandering, one directed. You stop in the centre of the span, you look down. You can't see the river, only hear it. It is a voice in the dark. You look up. The stars are the only light left. The moon is gone. You're alone in the centre of the universe. You feel a deep abiding peace. This is your place. This is your time. You lift your staff out. You step forward. The patrol continues. Clack! 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 The darkness wraps around you like a lover, and you walk on, the sleepless guardian of the flow. The path ahead seems to lengthen, the stones stretching out into an infinite perspective of grey and black. With the moon set, the starlight is the only illumination, a cold, hard brilliance that silvers the edges of the channel, but leaves the path itself in deep shadow. Your lantern is now a vital island of existence. Outside its golden ring, the world has dissolved. There is no valley, no hills, no trees. There is only the sphere of light, the rough texture of the travertine beneath your sandals, and the relentless muscular presence of the water. You're entering a siphon section, or rather, the approach to one. The aqueduct lowers here, preparing to feed into a system of lead pipes that will carry the water down into a deep valley and up the other side. But for now, you're still on the high arches, though you can feel the gradient steeping ever so slightly. The water knows it too. It moves with more eagerness, piling up slightly in the centre of the channel, a dark convex ribbon of energy. The sound is different here, deeper, heavier. The water is pressing against the stone with more force. You can feel a low-frequency vibration buzzing in the soles of your feet, travelling up your shin bones. It is a physical sensation, as if the aqueduct is growling. You place a hand on the channel wall, it is trembling. The power of the flow is immense. You're walking beside a tamed flood. You adjust the wick of your lantern again. The flame had sputtered, protesting a pocket of bad oil. You coax it back to life, the yellow light stabilising. The smell of the burning olive oil is strong, a warm kitchen scent that clashes with the cold mineral smell of the night. It reminds you of warmth, of food, of life, but those things are far away. Here there is only the duty. You pass a small arched niche built into the side of the maintenance path. A sentry box barely big enough for a man to stand in out of the rain. It is empty, dark, and smells of old dry stone. You step into it for a moment just to feel the enclosure. The wind is cut off. The sound of the water is muffled. It is a tiny pocket of silence. You lean your head back against the stone. You close your eyes for a second. Just a second. Don't sleep. The thought is sharp, like a needle. You snap your eyes open. To sleep here is to court death. The drop is too close. The cold is too insidious. You push yourself out of the niche, back into the wind, back into the noise. The shock of the cold air is a relief. It wakes you up. You shake your arms, getting the blood moving. Walk, you tell yourself, just walk. You resume the rhythm. Left, right, staff. The wooden tip of your staff clicks against the stone. Click, clack, click, clack. It is the metronome of your life. A sound reaches you from below, far, far below. A dog barking. A rhythmic, frantic sound, rough, rough, rough. Then silence. Then again. Someone is disturbing a farm dog miles away, or perhaps it is barking at the moon's absence. The sound is lonely, pathetic in the vastness of the night. It makes you feel isolated. You're too high up to help, too far away to care. You are a god watching the mortals. You look at the water again. It is so black now that it looks like a hole in the world. If you stared into it long enough, you feel you could fall in and keep falling forever. It is the river Styx. It is the river Lethe. Forgetfulness, it flows towards the city, carrying the oblivion of the mountains. You pass a section where the parapet has been repaired with new white limestone. It gleams in the starlight, bright as bone. It looks out of place against the weathered grey of the older stones. A scar that hasn't healed yet. You run your hand over it. Smooth, sharp edges, no moss. It has no history yet. You are the first generation of guardians to touch this stone. The wind shifts, coming now from the north. It is colder, biting. It cuts through the wool of your cloak, finding the gaps at your neck and wrists. You shudder. This is the Tramontana, the wind from across the mountains. It brings the chill of the snow. You pull your hood down lower, creating a tunnel for your vision. You see only the path ahead. Your thoughts drift to the city. Rome. Is it really there? Or is it just a dream you have while walking in the dark? Maybe the world is just this wall and this water. Maybe there is no emperor, no senate, no forum, just the aqueduct, stretching forever in both directions. It is a dizzying thought. Solipsism of the century. You shake your head. No, Rome is there. You can see the glow on the horizon, faint but steady. The beacon of civilization. You are tethered to it. You are the lifeline. You reach a milestone, 13. 13. An unlucky number for some, but just a mark of distance for you. You touch the stone. It is real. You notice a bat fluttering in the beam of your lantern. It dives and twists, hunting insects drawn to the light. It is a chaotic dancer, a speck of frantic life. It almost brushes your face, the wind of its wings cool on your cheek. Then it is gone, swallowed by the dark. You are walking through a tunnel of trees now, where the canopy of an ancient oak forest rises to meet the aqueduct. The branches hang over the path, skeletal fingers grasping at the sky. The shadows are complex here, shifting nets of black and grey. You step through them, breaking the patterns. The smell of the woods is strong, rotting leaves, damp earth, fungus. It is a heavy organic smell. It reminds you of the grave, but the water smells of the snow. You breathe the water, not the woods. You begin to feel the trance state returning. The walker's hypnosis. Your body is moving, but your mind is floating. You're observing yourself from above. You see a small light moving along a thin line of stone in a vast dark landscape. It is beautiful, it is lonely, it is brave. You pass a small shrine to Cloacina, the goddess of the sewer. Odd to see her here on the pure water line, but perhaps a reminder that all water eventually becomes waste. The cycle, pure to foul, mountain to sea. You nod to the shrine. Everything flows, you think. Pantare. The silence is broken by the hoot of an owl. Hoo, hoo. It is close. You look up. You see the silhouette against the stars, the watcher watching the watcher. You check the flow. Still smooth. Still constant. It is the only thing you can trust. People lie. Emperors change. But the water obeys gravity. It is the only truth. You walk on into the dark, into the silence, into the peace. The lantern swings. The staff clicks. The water rushes. And the night holds you in its cold, indifferent hand. The wind has died completely, leaving the air brittle and still. It is the kind of silence that feels fragile, as if a single loud word could shatter the night like glass. The cold has intensified, the temperature dropping to its lowest point just before the distant promise of dawn. The stones beneath your feet are no longer just cool, they are freezing, leaching the heat from your sandals with a predatory hunger. You stamp your feet again, clack, clack, trying to keep the blood moving in your toes. The sound is sharp, pistol cracks in the void. You're entering a section of the aqueduct that cuts through a high limestone ridge. The builders, unable to go around, carved a deep trench through the rock. The walls of the cut rise up on either side, jagged and raw, blocking out the horizon and leaving only a strip of star-dusted sky directly overhead. It feels like walking through a canyon in the underworld. The darkness here is absolute, pressing in against the fragile sphere of your lantern light. The acoustics in this trench are strange. The sound of the water, usually a rush, is amplified into a roar. It echoes off the hard rock walls, bouncing back and forth until the air seems to vibrate with the energy of the flow. Rush, rush, rush. It is overwhelming, filling your head, drowning out your own thoughts. You are no longer walking beside a stream, you're walking inside the throat of a river god. You run your hand along the wall of the trench. The rock is weeping. Groundwater seeps from the strata, slicking the stone with a cold, slimy film. It smells of minerals and deep earth, a heavy metallic scent that coats the back of your throat. Ferns and mosses cling to the wet rock in the cracks, pale and ghostly in your lantern light. They are the only things that thrive in this sunless damp. You pass a series of tool marks on the wall at shoulder height, parallel grooves left by the pickaxes of the legionaries who dug this trench. Chink, 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 chink. You can almost hear the ghostly echo of their labour. Thousands of men sweating in the dust, carving a riverbed out of solid rock. You feel a sudden surge of respect. This isn't just engineering, it is will. The sheer stubborn will of Rome to command the earth. You are the heir to that will, it straightens your spine. The path is narrower here, squeezed between the channel and the rock wall. You have to walk carefully, placing one foot directly in front of the other. The water is just inches away, dark and churning in the confined space. If you slipped, the current would grab you instantly. The danger sharpens your senses. You are hyper-aware of every pebble, every slick patch of moss. Your focus is absolute. A drop of water falls from the overhang above and hits the back of your neck. It is ice cold, a shock that makes you gasp. You wipe it away, shuddering. It feels like a cold finger touching you. You pull your hood up, shielding yourself from the weeping rock. Ahead, the trench begins to widen. The walls lower, sloping back to reveal the sky again. Emerging from the cut is a relief. The roar of the water subsides back to a steady hum. The oppressive weight of the rock lifts. You take a deep breath of the open air. It tastes sweet after the dankness of the trench. You're back on the high arches now, crossing a broad, shallow valley. The view is spectacular. With the moon gone, the stars are the only masters of the sky. They burn with a fierce, cold intensity. You can see the Milky Way clearly, a river of diamond dust spanning the heavens. It mirrors the aqueduct, a celestial river above, a terrestrial river below. You're walking between them, the connection between heaven and earth. You notice a light far to the east, a faint grey smudge on the horizon. The false dawn. It is still hours until sunrise, but the night is beginning to turn. The deep, impenetrable black is softening to a dark charcoal. The texture of the darkness is changing. You feel a pang of melancholy. The night is your kingdom, and it is beginning to fade. You reach into your pouch for the last piece of dried fig. You chew it slowly, savouring the gritty sweetness. It gives you a burst of energy. You take a drink from your flask. The water is freezing now, hurting your teeth. It wakes you up completely. You pass a maintenance hatch, a heavy slab of stone set into the path. It has a bronze ring handle, green with verdigris. You pause. You are not required to open it, but you check the seating. It is flush, secure. You tap it with your staff, thud, solid. The wind picks up again, coming from the open valley. It is a mestral, a dry, cold wind. It whips your cloak around your legs. You lean into it, enjoying the resistance. It feels like a playful wrestle with an invisible opponent. You begin to count the arches again. It is a way to measure the distance without thinking about time. 112, 113. The numbers are soothing. They are clean, uncomplicated. You see a shadow moving in the valley below, a herd of wild boar perhaps, dark shapes rooting in the undergrowth. You hear a faint grunt, the snap of a twig. They are busy with the business of survival. You are busy with the business of the empire. Two worlds separated by 50 feet of stone. You feel the fatigue returning, a heaviness in your bones. But it is a familiar companion. You welcome it. It means you are real. Ghosts do not get tired. Only men get tired. You are a man doing a job. You look at the lantern. The flame is burning low, consuming the last of the oil. You will need to refill it soon, or walk in the dark. You have a small flask of oil in your belt. You stop in the lee of a large pier to do the task. You set the lantern down. You open the reservoir. You pour the oil carefully, the golden liquid glugging into the lamp. The smell is rich and fatty. You trim the wick. You light it again. The light blooms, strong and yellow. You are renewed. You pick up the lantern. Let's go, you whisper to the flame. You walk on. The rhythm returns. Clack, clack. The water flows. The stars watch. The night waits. You are the sleepless historian. And the story continues. The renewed flame of your lantern burns with a fierce, steady vitality, casting a pool of golden light that seems sharper, more defined against the encroaching grey of the pre-dawn hour. The oil you poured was thick and rich, and the smell of its burning is a warm domestic comfort in the high cold air. It smells of the olive groves of the south, of sunlight trapped in fruit, released now to guide you through the dark. You swing the lantern slightly, creak, creak, the metal handle groaning in rhythm with your step. It is a small sound, but it is your sound. You are walking now on a section of the aqueduct that is a masterpiece of the builder's art. The arches here are not just structural, they are beautiful. The facing stones are cut from travertine, a limestone so hard and white it glows even without the moon. The joints are hairline thin, the mortar barely visible. You run your hand along the parapet. It feels like a single continuous ribbon of stone, not a collection of blocks. It is seamless. Unitas, unity. The empire is made of many provinces, but it stands as one, just like this wall. The wind has shifted to the north, the Aquilo, bringing a dry, piercing cold that seeks out every gap in your armour. You pull the heavy wool of your cloak up over your nose, breathing through the fabric. The wool warms your breath, creating a small, humid climate around your face. Your eyes are the only part of you exposed to the elements, tearing slightly in the breeze. You blink them clear, tears of cold, not of sorrow. A soldier does not weep for the weather. Below you, the valley floor is waking up. You can't see it yet, it is still a pool of ink, but you can hear it. A rooster crows, a jagged, raw sound that rips through the silence. Then another answers from miles away, the call and response of the morning. But up here, on the high road, it is still night. You are above the morning, you're in the realm of the eternal flow. The water beside you seems to have taken on a different quality. As the air pressure changes with the approaching dawn, the surface of the water becomes smoother, almost oily in appearance. It reflects the few remaining bright stars with absolute clarity. You are walking beside a mirror that shows the heavens to the earth. You look down into the channel. You see the star Arcturus floating in the black water. You are guiding the stars to Rome. You approach a venta, a belly, a section where the aqueduct dips slightly before rising again, a masterful manipulation of hydraulic pressure. The sound of the water changes here. It becomes a deep, throaty gurgle, a sound of power being restrained. You can feel the stone vibrating under your sandals, a low-frequency hum that travels up your legs and settles in your chest. It is a comforting vibration. It means the system is alive. It means the heart of the empire is beating. You pause to adjust your belt. The weight of the short sword, the gladius, and your pouch has shifted. You cinch it tighter. The pressure of the leather against your waist is grounding. You're not just a walker, you're a guard. Even though the only enemies here are time and gravity, you're armed. It is a symbol of your authority. You are the law on the wall. A shape detaches itself from the darkness ahead. A tower. But this one is different. It is a castellum aquae, a major distribution point. It looms large and square, blocking out the stars. As you get closer, you see the faint glow of a fire in the narrow window slit. Another sentry is there. Or perhaps a maintenance crew, awake early to clear a blockage. You reach the heavy oak door. You do not knock. You use the butt of your staff. Thump, thump, thump. The hollow sound echoes inside. A moment later, the door creaks open. A face appears, illuminated by a handheld lamp. It is an old man, his face a map of wrinkles, his eyes bright and sharp. Marcus, you know him. He has been on the wall longer than you have been alive. Safe watch, he asks, his voice raspy with smoke and silence. Safe watch, you reply. The flow is steady, sector 4 is clear. He nods. He reaches out and hands you a small steaming clay cup. Oscar, he says. You take it. The cup is hot, warming your frozen fingers. You drink. It is a mixture of vinegar, water and herbs. Sour, sharp and refreshing. It cuts the dust from your throat. It wakes up your stomach. The wind is cold tonight, Marcus says, looking past you into the dark. It is, you agree, but the stone is warm enough. He chuckles, a dry sound like leaves scraping stone. Go on then, boy, the city is thirsty. You hand him back the cup. Hey, Marcus. Val. The door closes. The strip of light vanishes. You're alone again. But the interaction has shifted something. You feel tethered to humanity again. You're not just a ghost haunting the arches. You're part of a brotherhood. The brotherhood of the water. You resume your walk. The Posca has given you a burst of energy. Your stride lengthens. Clack, 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 clack. The rhythm is faster, more aggressive. You're driving the night back with your steps. You pass a section where the channel is open and the water is running high nearly to the brim. The winter rains in the mountains must have been heavy. You watch the water level carefully. If it gets too high, it could overflow, damaging the mortar. But it holds. It stays just an inch below the lip. Precision. The engineers calculated this flow 300 years ago, and they were right. It is humbling to trust the math of dead men. The sky to the east is definitely changing now. The deep purple of the night is bleeding into a dark, bruised blue. The stars in that quadrant are fading, retreating before the coming sun. But the west is still deep night. You are walking on the border between 2 days. You find yourself thinking about the baths in the city again. The baths of Caracalla. You have been there once on leave. The sheer scale of it. The marble columns, the mosaic floors, the steam rising from the hot pools, and the noise, the shouting, the laughing, the splashing. It was overwhelming. You prefer this. You prefer the source, the quiet, dark, lonely source. The baths are the performance, the aqueduct is the rehearsal, and the rehearsal is always more honest. You reach a section where the path narrows as it crosses a high bridge over a ravine. The Ponte Lupo, the Wolf's Bridge. It is a massive structure, layers of arches stacked on top of each other to span the deep gorge. The wind here is ferocious, funneling through the valley. It howls. Hoo! It pushes you towards the edge. You lean into it. You plant your staff firmly with every step. Thud, step, thud, step. You are a tripod, stable and secure. You look down into the gorge. It is a pit of blackness. You cannot see the bottom, but you can hear the stream far below, a faint angry hiss. It is the wild water, jealous of the tamed water above. You walk the high road, the road of civilization. Midway across the bridge you stop, you set your lantern on the parapet, you wrap your cloak tight, you stand there suspended in the void and you listen. You hear the wind, you hear the water, you hear your own heart beating in your ears, thump, 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 thump. It is a moment of perfect clarity. You realise that you are happy. Not the happiness of laughter or wine, but the happiness of purpose. You're exactly where you are supposed to be. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. There is no confusion, no doubt, just the task. It is a rare gift, this simplicity. You pick up the lantern, the moment passes, the patrol continues. Leaving the bridge, the aqueduct turns sharply to the right, following the spur of a hill. The change in direction cuts the wind. Suddenly it is quiet again. The silence rushes back in, filling the space left by the howling gale. It is a relief. Your ears stop ringing. The path here is lined with tall cypress trees planted as a windbreak. They stand like dark columns mirroring the stone columns of the arches. The smell of pine is intense, sharp and clean. It clears your head. You notice a small shrine set into the base of one of the trees. A wooden figure, weathered and grey. Sylvanus, god of the woods, you nod to him. You're passing through his territory. Guard the wild, you think. I will guard the stone. The ground below is becoming visible now. Not clearly, but as shapes and textures. You can distinguish the dark squares of ploughed fields from the lighter patches of pasture. The world is reassembling itself from the void. You pass a milestone. X, 10 miles. 10 miles to the golden milestone in the forum. You're getting closer, but the distance is not the point. The walk is the point. Your legs are tired, yes, a deep burning fatigue in the muscles, but it is a clean burn. It feels like iron being forged. You are hardening. Every night on the wall makes you harder, stronger, more enduring. You're becoming like the stone you walk on. You think of the people sleeping in the farmhouses below. They are warm in their beds. They are dreaming. You are the guardian of their dreams. If the water stopped, their dreams would turn to nightmares of thirst. You keep the flow moving. You keep the dreams safe. The water beside you is shifting colour. It is no longer black. It is a deep, dark grey, like liquid slate. It is catching the first light of the pre-dawn. It looks heavy, metallic. You reach into your pouch and pull out a small stone. A smooth, white pebble you picked up miles back. You roll it in your fingers. It is a worry stone. You transfer your small anxieties into it. The ache in your back, the cold in your toes, the memory of a girl in the village. You push them all into the stone. Then you toss it over the edge. It falls. It is gone. You are lighter. The path straightens out again. The rectilineo. It draws your eye forward towards the horizon. You can see the silhouette of the city now. The 7 hills. The dark hump of the Capitolium. It looks like a sleeping beast. You are bringing it water. You are the nursemaid to the beast. The sound of the water is a steady rhythm. Rush, rush, rush. It is a mantra. I am the watcher. I am the walker. I am the wall. You repeat it in your head. It synchronizes with your steps. You pass a section where the channel is covered with flat tiles. You walk on top of them. The sound is muffled, vibrating through your feet. You're walking on the water, separated only by an inch of baked clay. It feels miraculous. A bird flies up from the bushes below, startled by your passing. A lark. It sings a few notes, hesitant, then falls silent. The morning is not quite here yet. Sleep, you whisper. Not yet. You are approaching a maintenance shed. A small brick building clinging to the side of the aqueduct. The door is locked. You check the padlock. Rusted. Solid. Good. You lean against the wall of the shed for a moment. The brick is warmer than the stone. It holds the heat of the sun longer. You press your back against it, borrowing a little warmth from yesterday. It is a small comfort. You look at the lantern. The flame is pale now against the growing light of the sky. His job is almost done, but not yet. You keep it burning. You honour the flame. You push off the wall. You resume the pace. The air is changing. It feels blue. The visual spectrum is shifting. The greys are turning to blues. The blacks are turning to purples. The world is regaining its colour. You can see the mortar between the stones now. The detailed texture of the world is returning. The dream time is ending. The reality is beginning. But you hold on to the quiet. You hold on to the solitude. You cherish these last few miles of silence. You pass a section where the water flows over a weir, a small dam to regulate the speed. The sound is a splash, a bright, happy noise. It sounds like laughter. The water is happy to be moving. It is happy to be going to Rome. You smile. You are happy too. You walk on. Clack, clack, clack. The city awaits. The day awaits. But for now, just the flow. And you, the sleepless historian, walking the line between the night and the day. The sky to the east has cracked. A fissure of pale lemon light has appeared on the horizon, splitting the dark purple of the night sky. It is thin, fragile, but undeniable. The dawn is no longer a rumour. It is an arrival. The light spills upwards, diluting the darkness, turning the stars into faint ghostly pinpricks that are rapidly vanishing. You watch them go one by one. Cassiopeia fades. The Pleiades dissolve. The heavens are being wiped clean for the new day. You extinguish your lantern. The flame flickers and dies, leaving a curl of grey smoke that smells of burnt wick. You don't need it anymore. The blue light of the aurora is enough. It is a strange, shadowless light that flattens the world. The aqueduct looks like a drawing, a graphic line of grey stone against the pale sky. The temperature drops one final time, the dawn chill. It strikes through your cloak, making you shiver. It is the earth exhaling the last of the night's cold before the sun breathes in warmth. You wrap your arms around yourself as you walk, tucking your hands into your armpits. Keep moving. Movement is heat. The water beside you has transformed. It is no longer black or grey. It is clear. For the first time in hours, you can see into the depths of the channel. You can see the pale opus sininum lining the bottom. You can see the shadows of the ripples on the floor of the trough. It looks impossibly clean, liquid crystal rushing towards the city. It looks like life itself. You look down at the world below. It has emerged from the void. You see the green of the fields, muted and cool. You see the grey of the olive trees. You see the brown of the road. A cart is moving on the track below, a donkey plodding slowly, the driver wrapped in a brown cloak. He looks up and sees you, a silhouette on the high arches. He raises a hand. You raise yours. A silent greeting between the earth and the sky. The day has begun. You are approaching the Piscina Limaria, the great settling tank just outside the city walls. This is the end of the high march. Here, the water will slow down, drop its sediment, and then plunge into the underground pipes to be distributed to the fountains. The structure is massive, a fortress of brick and stone. The sound of the water here is loud, a churning industrial roar as it enters the tank. It sounds like the city itself, busy, chaotic, powerful. You reach the walkway that circles the tank. You look down into the water. It is deep here, swirling slowly. Leaves and twigs that have made the journey with you are caught in the skimmers. The maintenance crew is already there, men with long rakes clearing the debris. They look up as you approach. "Ave," one of them says, leaning on his rake. "Long night?" "Av," you reply. Your voice sounds rusty, unused. "Quiet night. The flow is good." "Good," he nods. The Emperor wants his bath hot. You smile. It is an old joke. You walk past the tank to the stairs that lead down to the ground level. Your patrol is over. The high road ends here. You pause at the top of the stairs. You look back the way you came. The aqueduct stretches out behind you, winding back towards the mountains. It glows soft pink in the growing light. It looks magnificent. A spine of civilization. And you have walked its length. You have kept it safe. You feel a profound sense of satisfaction. It settles in your chest, warmer than the sun. You did your duty. You held the line. You take the first step down. Your knees complain, stiff from the cold, but you descend. Down from the sky, down to the earth. You reach the bottom. The ground feels strange under your feet, soft, uneven, silent. You walk towards the guardhouse. The smell of baking bread is drifting from the city gates. It smells like heaven. You open the door of the guardhouse. Your relief is there, strapping on his sandals. Young, eager. He looks at you. "Nothing to report," you say. The water flows. He nods. "Rest well, senior." "Walk well, junior." You hang up your cloak. You unbuckle your belt. You sit on the bench. You lean your head back against the wall. You close your eyes. You can still hear it. even hear on the ground the hum of the stone and the rush of the water. It is in your blood now. You drift. The water flows, the city wakes, and the sleepless historian sleeps,